11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to a brand new episode of Granny's Peach Tea. This is episode 165. For those who are counting, boy, we got a lot going on here this evening. This is one of those giant-sized annual, I think, episodes that we got here, right?
A lot going on.
There's a whole lot going on. But yeah, thank you for joining us. As always, if you're joining us in the Facebook live stream, joining us on YouTube or Instagram, or actually, we're not even on X right now because Jason, I got to bring you up to speed. Apparently, our buddy Mr. Musk is only letting people go live on StreamYard if you have a paid premium account now.
You know what? The only reason I'm on X anymore is for this show. If we're not doing this show, I think I might just drop it.
Yeah, I mean, we've got some decisions to make, but we don't even have to bother acknowledging it again. I actually forgot until we went on. So, but yeah, wherever you found your audio only podcast, we always appreciate the support. Yes, Rick will be here soon, but I am more happy and pleased to welcome Jason back. Dude, what is up, man? You had like Jason's European vacation.
I did. I went. I saw the sights. It was crazy. The whole thing started when I said to Faraci, we should take GPT on the road, and he said, you know what? I'm sending you and your family to Europe. And Faraci sent me all over the place. And I went to London. I tried to get him to see the King. I tried to get knighted, actually, because I wanted him to see that everyone loves Granny's Peach Tea, even across the Thames. The Thames, Ed. But no go. I saw him. I got an audience, but he was like, "Get the fuck out of here, you fucking American. We don't knight your kind." Lovely man, though. Lovely man.
Okay. It was a little bit, it was odd, my friend. It was odd not having you here. Because I know there was one episode that you missed before this, which is a pretty friggin' impressive stretch, man. That's a pretty impressive stretch. But I saw your pictures. We got your text, and I was like, this dude's having a fucking phenomenal time. We're just going to try to hold it down until he gets back.
It was a good time. So, in all seriousness, I'm going to listen now that I'm caught up because I'm caught up with everything except for the road cut. I'm going to go back and listen to the episodes. I want to listen to the Apocalypse episode so I can come on here and tell you all how you're wrong. It's a great movie, but I didn't get a chance to. No, it's not a great movie, but I'd have been on this episode. If I would have been on that episode, there would have been a lot more of me defending that movie because I think I enjoy it more than most people. But good to be back. Good to be back. I'm done chasing waterfalls through Iceland. I'm done drinking pints in various European cities. It's nice.
I do love. Did you drink outside when you were there?
Yeah, of course I did.
Okay, that was really cool. It's a strange thing at first, but I was not saying that we don't drink outside at all here. But when you can just go in a bar and take a pint and just walk aimlessly outside and nobody gives you shit, it was really, it's cool.
It's wonderful.
Yeah,
it was wonderful. That. I was at the London Eye. We had a day for just the kids, and my son and my niece, who's also around my son's age, she's a bit younger, and it was her birthday, so we took her to this park and everything, and we took them to the carousel in the London Eye, and I don't go on rides, so like I always default as the bag person. But they were like outside bars, like just shops that served alcohol, and so I walk up. I'm like, hey, this is a stupid question, but clearly I'm a tourist. I can just drink this anywhere. It's like, oh yeah, cheers, mate. You drink it anywhere. Like, all right. And so I'm walking around with a beer while my kids on the carousel. Man, I should have been European.
So I'm gonna just ask you about this too. The glass thing. How is there not shattered glass all over outside in the streets? Like, don't you think that would be a thing here if we allowed people to just walk around with pint glasses and drink outside, like just over drunken buffoonery?
It 100% would be a thing here, but here's the thing, and this is what I read. Did you take the subway when you were in London?
Yes, I took the tube. The tube, Jason. The tube. The
tube. You're right. Now the tube is well maintained and runs on time. It doesn't smell like piss anywhere, even though there are homeless people there. Not a lot, but I did see some. Mm-hmm. There's a system where you got to log in and log out, but it's super easy to jump it if you don't want to pay for it.
Yeah,
it runs there. It wouldn't run here because we are the epitome of you can't have anything nice. That's why they can drink outside and we can't.
I will say one thing regarding the tube, and I don't disagree with the efficiency of the tube, unless, and this is a very unique thing. What was the temperature out when you were in London? You remember?
Oh, it was unseasonably cool. It was like in the 70s.
Okay, lucky you, because when Angie and I were there in June it was of 2019. They had record highs. So it was 95, 98 degrees, no air conditioning in London or in the tube. I was dying in that tube. And I was even telling Angie I would rather get off and just walk wherever the hell we're going. And that's it. Like, it was that bad. So I would say it's very unique. That would have pissed you off.
Yeah. That would have pissed me off, but I would have been there like, all right, I guess I'll take a hot. I'm in a cool piss smelled, car than a hot non piss smelling car, because all the F train smells like piss. That's gonna be the name of my autobiography. All of the F train smells like piss and other stories.
Yeah, so it was a give and take for me. Like I take the L train quite often, and for those in New York City. The L train happens to have exceptional air conditioning. That's one thing I've always said about the L train. I've said a lot about it, but I will say for some bizarre reason, the air conditioning seems to always be on point there. So it might get some crazy stuff going on.
I think the L. I used to look down on the L train. Now I take the F train, and the F train isn't the L train's foot, man. It's crazy.
Yeah, we have reversed roles, my friend, because I took the L train, obviously, when we were younger, then the M, and then when I was in Forest Hills and I was in Kew Gardens, I was an F and E train guy, and then I experienced what you're experiencing now, and now I'm back to being an L and M guy. So, yes, I know the pain of the E and the F train, believe me, dude. It sucks.
It sucks.
All right, but enough with that, because some people who don't live in New York City probably like, shut up about your stupid subway system, whatever.
Let's talk more about esoteric things that you only get if you live in New York.
We went from London to New York like in fucking flip of a switch right there. But we do got a lot to talk about.
Just like Heathrow.
Episodes. Just like, yes. We got a lot of my adventures with Superman to talk about, because while Rick was filling in for Jason these last 2 weeks, Rick does not watch that show, and it would just been weird. So Jason and I will catch up. We got that to talk about.
I'm going to say this.
Captain America. Yeah.
I'm going to say this. It was not Ed's adventures with Superman. It was not Rick's adventures with Superman. It's my adventures with Superman. And when I'm not here, neither is Superman. All hail our Kryptonian son.
Well done. Way to leave that one in. I like that. We'll also be talking about we'll actually be catching up on Captain America Brave New World trailer that dropped last week. Well, it was last Friday afternoon. No, Friday morning it dropped. So we didn't get a chance to talk about that. So we will be doing a trailer reaction. We also got 2 episodes of The Boys, including the Bonkers season 4 finale that dropped today on Prime Video. And we will continue our X-Men rewatch. And that has brought us to Dark Phoenix. As you can see by our background if you're watching.
Oh boy,
and boy, that is it's something. We will get into that in a little bit. I'm gonna bite my tongue for now, and we'll just save that. But we are gonna kick things off with my adventures, or Jason's adventures, with Superman season 2, episodes 7 through 9. So we'll kind of just do an overall arcing thing, and I'm gonna sit there and beat you senseless with every friggin' frame of the thing. But we got a lot to talk about, my friend, because I held off until I knew you were coming back, and I was like, let's talk about some Superman. So, Jason, how were your adventures with Superman lately?
Frame 1, a blur. I'm going frame by frame. No, I'm kidding. This was a lot of fun, as it always is. I really enjoyed this show. When we last left our friends, we had pretty much seen Lois and Jimmy come in space on the heels of an all Clark Kara episode, and we went, wow, I bet the next episode is how they got in space. And boy, it was. And it was
Boom!
a fun episode. Boom, they're in space. Jimmy kind of unceremoniously, I thought this was going to go on for longer, but Jimmy empties his bank account to hire Livewire. They get the Brain and the Ape who are in love to help them.
I thought that was great. I love seeing those characters in the animated forms. We saw them in Doom Patrol.
I do too. Yeah, I do too, because they're so ridiculous, and I don't know how they exist, but I'm glad they do. And so they all go into Star Labs and steal a spaceship, and they go to space. That's the episode.
I mean, that is more or less the episode. I mean, I thought it was kind of cool that we did get Livewire and a version of Heatwave that were in this.
Oh,
they were in a
that's
relationship,
right.
because we saw Heatwave
Yeah.
as Mick Rory in Legends of Tomorrow. So
that's right. That was Mick
different
Rory,
take.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, completely different take there on Mick Rory. So I thought that was pretty interesting. And I'm trying to make sure I'm not mashing up the episodes. But yeah, that was basically how they got how did Lois and Jimmy get to catching up to Clark, because they were on a mission to save him.
And I guess the big thing is in this episode, and it starts off that Waller frames everything like Superman and every alien is the problem, and her and her organization starts HDC, which is this like 1984 type, fascist dictatorship state. It's amazing. That's where all of our current fiction is going.
I was gonna say that. It's just kind of weird how we seem to find ourselves circling that over and over again, no matter which path we go down these days.
Well, I mean, all paths lead to fascism, I guess.
Yes.
But that's that episode. Then they're in space, and that whole episode, the next episode, is Brainiac wants Clark's body, not in a sexual weird way, but in like he wants to take it over and embody it, and
so he wants it. He wants it how Freddy Krueger wanted Jesse's body in Nightmare on Elm Street 2.
Yes, exactly. No homo. That's what it is.
For those who just that went completely over your head, watch Nightmare on Elm Street 2, Freddy's Revenge, and get back to us there.
Yeah. Which is like, it's literally the most homoerotic horror movie, but with the writer going, no homo, right? No homo.
Yeah. No. I don't know what you're talking about. What are you saying here?
Yeah.
For like 40 years.
But this is a cool Fred, right? I mean, is that writer's out at this point, right? Like everyone involved in making that movie is out at this point.
Dude, I don't think so. And I know that we were whatever.
For his own sake.
Yeah, we've discussed the Nightmare on Elm Street thing at some point, and that's going to be an interesting rabbit hole to go down. But
Yeah, well, I mean, 2 would be the one to start the whole deep dive for it. Like two is the one that really has such a cult following.
it has its own documentary.
It does. All right, but anyway, so
Yeah,
Brainiac is
we
here.
digress.
He's testing Kal-El. And I love this because he's got Kal-El in that like weird Brainiac's in his head, right? That's what he does.
Yes.
What do they call it? They call it the brain zone or something like that. Black Mercy. That was an awesome name for it. It's called Black Mercy.
Brain
and that's a great name. Isn't it? That's my favorite Smith song. So I love that Brainiac is throwing all this physical shit at Clark and nothing can stop him. And then he gets a glimpse of Lois and gets a glimpse of his family, and he changes tactics. And he starts, because he tells Clark, I'm getting to your weakest spot so I can break you and reshape you.
Yeah.
And then he starts getting, he starts getting to Clark. He's wearing him down. And then Kara kind of goes and faces off, sees what her father is doing to Clark, and goes at him and unfrees Clark. And this is when we find out that this has happened a bunch of times. Brainiac just keeps resetting her memory.
Which I think we called the last episode we talked about, right? I think when we discussed episode 6.
We did.
Yeah, I think it was you the one who called that out. You were just kind of like, they were Winter Soldier in her.
Yeah, right. And we find out that's exactly what's been going on. And Brainiac's like, all right, well, now I don't need you. Now I got Clark, so I'm going to kill you. And then that's when he catches Lois. Brainiac she also goes into the Black Mercy.
Yeah, that's more of like
this
episode
is the next
9,
episode.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so in episode 9, Lois goes into the Black Mercy, and it's pretty much Groundhog Day for her, where she keeps waking up in the beginning of the preset, and Clark is who he would have been on Krypton, and his parents' whole job is to keep him trapped there, because I guess that's where Brainiac put him, to keep his mind busy while he took over his body, and he was like destroying things with his body.
Yeah.
And then Lois pretty much Groundhog Days her way through and gets through to Clark, and they kiss. A rock opera happens, because don't tell me that montage wasn't a fucking rock opera, and it kicked ass.
It absolutely did. I thought the interesting thing was, though, that we, at the same time while Lois is in the Black Mercy and going through the whole Groundhog Day thing, we also have Clark going through a situation where Brainiac, by the way, we didn't get a chance to, because when we last spoke about this, there was a call that this was Brainiac, even though they didn't really give him the name and stuff like that just yet.
Yeah, right.
So
well, yeah, because they ruined it for my
closed caption.
That's it. Thank you.
Yeah, your closed caption spoiled it for you. But like Brainiac is manipulating Clark's memories throughout this whole thing and making Lois. He's amplifying what Lois actually said and twisting it, because if you remember, their last actual interaction was when Lois was kind of saying, hey, like, I'm lesser than, like, I can't be with you and stuff like that. And they were kind of breaking up. And that's where Clark was feeling a certain kind of way. And then he just kept on twisting it and changing Lois's words throughout almost every memory he has to basically saying, you're an alien. We can't trust you. You should be human. You should be human. And peppering it. And over time, Clark catches on to it, was like, fuck you. You're screwing my memories. Like, this is bullshit.
Yeah, right. I almost forgot about that. That's big, because that does tie into when Lois trying to wake him up. So it's kind of like their mind is both trying to get to that same place.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and sorry, go ahead.
No. So eventually Lois wakes Clark up with the kiss, and I kind of like that, because it's usually it's the damsel in distress who gets kissed and woken up, and in this it's Clark, right?
It's like a super
Lois,
kiss.
of course, yeah, it is a
super kiss reverse.
Lois wasn't date raped.
Yeah, exactly.
And let's face it, like Lois has always worn the pants in that relationship. I mean, Superman is alpha because he has powers. Lois is alpha because she's fucking alpha.
Yeah, no, especially like this Lois is like, she's definitely adventurous. Like, she's not damsel in distress like by any stretch of the imagination.
No, not at all. And then so Brainiac gets pissed off that he is pushed out of Clark's body, decides he's going to destroy Metropolis, Earth, and everything he can. Gets this huge ass laser, and I love this moment because Kara just jumps in front of it, takes the whole thing, and like that's her penance, right? That's her proving to everyone else who didn't trust her throughout the episode that no, she really is on their side. And then Superman comes back. There's a fight, and then Brainiac takes them both out.
Yeah, I think that's where we're kind of left off, right? Because the next episode's the season finale.
Yep. So that's it. So we don't know, we don't know what's going to happen. Well, we know, but we don't know how it's going to happen.
We have an idea. I mean, who knows? These shows and stuff do take a turn for us where they'll give us the Empire Strikes Back, Infinity War ending where they'll leave on like a grieve note and stuff like that and leave you hanging for the next season. But, we'll see, because this show does get a lot darker than we seem to like it would appear on the surface. Yeah, no, it absolutely does. I think that's what drew me into it eventually, was it seemed like light and fluffy. And as we went on, it still remained, it kept some of the light and fluffy aspects while still going a bit darker, which I liked. I appreciated. Mm-hmm. And it was also like in the background of this, there's also a battle going on between Lex Luthor and which actually gets referred to as Alex at one point, which I thought was interesting. Yeah, that's right. Heard that. And Deathstroke and like Amanda Waller, like, kind of like which one is like the top dog right now. And it ends up being Lex, of course, in the end, who seems to outsmart Deathstroke, which you would assume would obviously happen in any incarnation. Of course. As well. They're definitely, and I gave that the short shrift, but they're definitely doing a good job in setting up Lex Luthor for next season. Because clearly that's what they're doing, and I appreciate they've taken the time. Yeah. Yeah, unlike other incarnations, referred to as the DCU, that did not take their time and just kind of, forced him in there and see what happens, and then I don't even know what you want to call it. What happened in the end with him, but all right. I guess that's it. I mean, I'm pretty excited to see where the hell this goes in the season finale, because we know they got a season 3 coming. They did get greenlit already, so that's pretty cool. Okay, good. Yeah, I'm excited too. This is a really fun take on this show, on this property. Mm-hmm. All right. I guess we'll keep moving along. We got a trailer reaction to do here for Captain America: Brave New World. So last Friday morning, there was a trailer that was dropped for this. It was a teaser. Rick and I were speculating about it last week, because last week we did a trailer reaction for Agatha All Along, because they dropped their trailer. And I was kind of speculating where I thought Marvel was actually going to drop 2 trailers for 2 properties, like in the same week. But apparently they did. And this will obviously be attached to Deadpool and Wolverine next week. Dude, it is a week away. Jason, next Thursday night. Actually, by this point in time, we would have already just seen Deadpool and Wolverine in a week from now. Wow. That's wild. Right? Like, I feel like we've been waiting forever for this movie. We have been, yes. And we got like a 3:20, I think, 3 o'clock showing. We got like the first showing possible next week. So I felt like this was when we had to kind of like step it up. But all right, let's check out this trailer together for Captain America: Brave New World.
Wilson. Thanks for coming in.
Well, thank you for the invite, sir. I have to admit, I'm still getting used to the new look.
They said lose the mustache or lose the election. You and I haven't always agreed in the past, but I want to make another run at making Captain America an official military position.
And if we disagree on how to manage this situation, then what happens?
Work with me, Sam. We'll show the world a better way forward.
Sir, your inner circle has been compromised. Either you can't see that or you don't want to.
What if it's a trap?
Global power is shifting. You're just a pawn.
You may be Captain America, but you're not Steve Rogers.
You're right. I'm not.
All right, Jason, what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, I think it looks good. I think, I wish they would have given us a bit more Red Hulk, except at the end there. I mean, I wanted to see more of that, but I mean, I like the idea that the villain in this is part of the government, right? Because that's what's his face, Thunderbolt Ross now, right?
Yeah, Harrison Ford is jumping in there. So
yeah. So I like the idea that they're addressing you might be Captain America, but you're not Steve Rogers, which I think is a lot of things that fans feel about it. Yeah, I think that this could be a lot of fun. I'm excited to see it.
Yeah, I'm definitely pretty pumped for this. I mean, obviously it's an MCU film and stuff like that and everything. And actually, Rick does have a comment to drop in here, and we'll see if he gets here.
Nice.
This is awesome. Yeah, it was a pretty awesome trailer, and I'll say quickly, for the sake of a trailer, did it get me more excited for the movie than I already was? I mean, I'm going to say yes. I was already pretty excited for this, but I think it definitely did its job. It is cool to see that at least the trailer did give me like a Winter Soldier kind of vibe to it. And again, at least for the trailer. So I thought, all right, political spy thriller type thing. Someone's trying to assassinate the president and everything. So I thought that was cool. And I agree with you, like addressing out front in the teaser trailer that, yes, Sam Wilson is not Steve Rogers. But guess what? He can do other shit that Steve Rogers couldn't do either as well. Obviously not in the physical sense, but he's got a different way to be Captain America. I thought it was also pretty cool that they, in the trailer, again, they also addressed, when Sam says, oh, I get used to the new look. Kind of like a quick wink and nod to address, like, this is a different actor playing, Thunderbolt Ross, which I thought was a clever way to do it. And he just, brushes it off with the mustache talk and everything. And we also got a brief glimpse of New Falcon, because this Captain America has a Falcon of his own as well, which is, the dude that was in Falcon and Winter Soldier, the younger kid that he had taken under his wing, no pun intended. But that's going to be his Falcon, so I think that's...
Oh, there was a pun.
Yes, there was a pun. Oh, no.
You intended that pun.
It's so offensive when you intend it. Yeah, so I thought that was cool. And yes, obviously the Red Hulk thing, which we all knew was coming, was teased at the end. And again, for a teaser trailer, I like the way that they peppered him in at the end of it as well. So we got to see Giancarlo Esposito, because he's now been added apparently into it during the reshoot. So I thought that was cool. So we got his character in there. So we got to see him. I mean, listen, it looks cool, because this, after Deadpool and Wolverine, this is the next MCU film we have. We have nothing until then, until Valentine's Day. That's actually when this movie releases.
Well, it's going to be a sweet night for us, Ed. We're going to go out together.
Well, we're gonna get a jump. We're gonna get a jump
Watch
start
this.
on it and get out there the day before.
That's true. We can't wait. Can't wait for the official day.
No, we got to get the preview night in there because it's just what it is. But no, I do. This is pretty cool, man. And I know there's been like tons of reshoots and delays and all the other stuff like that. But sometimes when you get that, you get a turd burger. I'm not gonna lie. But then other times you get, you get Rogue One. That movie had an entire overhaul. Yeah, and you don't think of it because it's a great Star Wars movie. It's arguably the best Star Wars movie outside of the original trilogy. Some might even rank
It's my favorite
in there. Yeah.
It's fourth for me.
Yeah, which is fine. That's a big thing, though. There's a lot of Star Wars movies now.
Yeah.
So
that's huge. It is huge.
Yeah. And considering the production that went through, I mean, hopefully we get this right too. I mean, again, a lot of things might be changing now that Kevin Feige's got his full power back and everything like that, and he's doing his thing, and they know that they kind of got to get things back to the level of consistent quality that we were accustomed to. So we'll see. And Deadpool and Wolverine, I mean, people are raving about it. So, this could be the next one in. So, well, look who's arrived. Look who's got here from the beach. Oh, I went to add him and then he clicked off. So I don't know what's going on over there. He was there.
That was Rick from another dimension.
Exactly. It was like a schism in the multiverse over here. But all right, I guess let's keep it rolling along then, shall we? We do have a damn good TV show to discuss as well. We got The Boys season 4, episodes 7 and 8. I'm gonna drop that ticker spoiler warning across the bottom, just in case you have not seen the finale, because we are gonna discuss 7 and 8. So you've been warned. If you haven't seen it, come check us out another time. And that's that. So, Jason, I guess before we get into episode 7, then let's. What were your thoughts on because you had a catch up, right? Didn't you watch like 2 or 3 episodes? What were your thoughts on?
I did.
On a lot.
All right, so I think it is undeniable that they took both of our favorite superheroes, Ed, and they made them the first and second most disgusting creatures on the planet. Because Tech Knight is in these episodes. He dies at the end of one of them, and I'm so happy to see it. I don't ever want to see that character again. He's so gross. But the Spider-Man, and the shitting the webs. Oh my God, it was nauseating.
Yeah, it was pretty rough. Rick, what's up, man? You revived from the beach.
I got
What's up,
blipped.
Rick?
What's up, everyone? Jason, long time no see.
Good to see you. Thank you for covering for me. I appreciate that, Rick.
Anytime.
So yeah, Rick, you know where we're at. So, all right. So I figured you needed to get a couple of words in here for that episode, because episode 6, when that happened, was so bizarre. It was an awesome episode.
So gross.
But gross.
It was so gross. I mean,
it was a lot.
I love the firecracker. Actually, it was a lot. I mean, Tech Knight and his BDSM and the Web Weaver and whatever the fuck's going on there. It was gross.
And then his sidekick Robin over there was like tied up in the corner for most of the episode, but saves the day.
Yes, because him and his Alfred wants to murder him, and I'm glad they did. I love that Firecracker calls right on the news about the Jewish space lasers. Yes. Like, it's not even satire anymore. I love that.
It's calling it.
Tech Knight's fortune started with slave catching. I thought that was hysterical.
Yeah, which Jason, you would get I figured you would appreciate that whole thing, because there was the whole thing with, the Wayne family's fortune has also been said to have been the other way around, so they decided to flip it on its head.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, they instead of making his family very generous, they are they're real is what it is. They're
They're
actually
scoundrels.
American billionaires. Yeah, but so I mean that and then the whole episode with Simon Pegg, episode 5. I mean, Simon Pegg kind of steals that, and I love the line, I'm not like Jar Jar.
Yes. Yeah.
So
Sad, super sad.
that's my
moment,
catch
though,
up.
for you.
Super sad.
All right, so I guess let's get into episode 7 then. That was last week's episode before we jump into the finale. I guess more of the jokes that go along here with not beating around the bush is when they open up with the Avenue V Christmas episode, because this was actually a Christmas themed episode that went on here, and
Yes,
they're
it
doing
was.
this whole puppet show with Ryan, and there's a lot of rat on your teachers and call out your parents or your sister, and that you could have your woke president, your principal, and their pedophiles and all this other shit. And Ryan's just like, what are we doing here? Like, he even shuts it down. He's like, well, what the fuck are we talking about? Like, I can't do this, man. And Homelander gets a call and like there's complaints. But I thought it was great that the director tells him, like, dude, Homelander personally approved the script. Like, gotta go.
Yeah, because the kid doesn't want to see that Homeland is a piece of shit. Like, both of these episodes is him trying to really not see that.
Yeah. As he doesn't know a lot about Homelander's past, which he finds out more in the finale. But
He's also a kid that's been
Yeah.
super sheltered like his whole life.
Yes.
yeah,
All of this is coming at him.
Great
If he
point.
was raised in bought like, if he was raised like a lot of the other Gen V kids were,
Mhm.
his reactions to these things might be totally different. He was totally sheltered his whole life. His dad threw him off a roof.
Yep.
Like,
yeah, you're not wrong.
his reactions to everything are so simple and so innocent because he's fucking innocent and he's simple,
Yeah, well put. And then we start seeing the beginnings of the Homelander trusting Firecracker more than Sage. And we saw at the end of episode 6 why, when she took the shortcut with the whole milking Homelander thing.
How are you guys with this milk thing
that's-
still?
I mean, whatever. I think it's that scene there. It's played for gags briefly, but I also think and I guess like a lot of things with the show is you got to look further than that. I mean, this also speaks into Homelander's psychology and how fucked up his head is, that he has this fascination with it. It's not that he necessarily wants to be treated like an infant, and so, but he wants that
No, it's
babying effect.
it's the symbolic need for
Yeah.
a mother.
Yeah,
Like, he didn't have a mother, right? So they're doing two very interesting things here. Is
I
for the
mean, he did. He
character-
lasered her to death.
yeah. Well, but that also speaks. That also speaks to how off a fucking cuff that Homelander could completely lose his mind, and speaks
Yeah.
to his mental instability.
And
Yeah, but Jason,
also,
go into that. I didn't
Yeah,
mean to cut
JC,
you
go
off.
ahead, go ahead.
Yeah. So first off, it's that character's need for a mother or maternal instinct, not just his mother, but like some form of real parental instinct or connection, which he clearly didn't have. That's the character. I think the secondary symbolism, because this show literally is taking the piss out of conservatives. I think it's like, oh, the manliest alpha dog male that all of you conservatives think is the hero, really just wants his mama's tit at the end of the day. I think that's also a little smack in the face to the alpha dog conservative males who, have been saying that this guy is the hero. I think that's just another way that Kripke is like, yeah, let me stick it to you just a bit more.
Yeah, that's well put. Well put. So yeah, well, and I think honestly one of the saddest things here, and I know I know we've talked about this on like Facebook and stuff like that with the meme of Frenchie and Colin versus Ambrosia and Deep, and how one is seemed to be okay with, but the other one not so much. The whole Ambrosia Deep thing that goes on in episode 7 is wild. Like they're hooking up, and in the beginning they're talking about the stuff, and she even says how wild and incredible his tongue is and how many times she came and everything. And then he gets a text from fucking Sage and drops her in a heartbeat and puts her back in the friggin' fish
in the tank.
Fish tank. Sorry, thanks, Rick.
Yeah.
In his closet and everything, which again is another formality thing of like he's got her in the closet. And then comes back later in the episode, she calls him out like, I'm not stupid. I know you're hooking up with Sage. And they get into a legitimate argument about Deep arguing with her like she respects me. She says I'm superhuman. She does all the shit. And even Ambrosia's like, dude, you're being fucking used. She doesn't give a shit about you. She's playing like a fiddle. What the fuck? And in a fit of rage, he breaks the fucking fish tank and viciously and really sadly closes the door and just listens to her die and suffocate at the fucking end of it. That was crazy.
Yeah. I'm going to say two things. One, I cannot believe the Deep viciously murdered that octopus. And I can't believe I cared as much about that octopus's death as I did. Because God, I was like, no, this is hitting me, man. Deep, you're fucked up. But secondly, her death was like what's his face's death in Austin Powers. Hello, I'm not dead, but very badly because she just wouldn't die. Like
I'm still down here.
No, you're not doing.
Rick, did this hit you also? Was it kind of the feels like you kind of felt bad, like really bad for her?
No, she's a fish. She's
okay.
Fish. I'm just not gonna.
So animal death, you're cool with. You don't give a shit.
I don't. I mean, fish die every day. Like it's not.
Well, but have you heard them? But have you heard them speaking to you?
If she was like a dog or a human, it might have affected me. She was an octopus. Like
it might have affected you. Okay.
Yeah.
But
maybe
octopi are smarter than dogs.
Can't prove it by me.
Octopi are very smart. They problem solve.
They don't live in houses with humans, so they haven't figured that part out yet. But yeah, this scene, like I get it for what they were doing with this scene. But no, it's an octopus.
Okay, I think the fact that the Deep can hear the thoughts is what changes it. Obviously, if you take out the dialogue, it doesn't matter then.
If you take out the dialogue, it just breaks the fish tank and close the door to the closet.
Yes, and you remove her dialogue, the scene plays totally differently.
Yeah. Black Noir would be standing there and he'd be like, dude, why did you break that fish tank? Like, now your closet's all wet.
Rick, stop, get right. It would have been like, bro. Which I thought was one of the funniest things. Yeah,
it works for me.
Hilarious. Yeah, I think it's hilarious. And Rick, I guess I'll throw it to you here is that we do get a follow-up here because I remember we chatted over the last 2 weeks about was the Starlight abortion thing kind of like seemed like we wanted a follow-up on it. It was just like a thread that was hanging out there. But when they do follow up on it in episode 7 where
her mom
lays into her and tells her like, I thought more of you. You're Starlight. You were supposed to be above that and all this other shit. And she explains, it gives the explanation to Huey after the conversation with her mom of like why she did what she did. She was like, listen, look at what we're doing. Look at the crazy world we're in the middle of right now. How am I going to bring a child into this insanity that's going on around here in their universe? And we do get more of it. It wasn't just kind of like a throwaway thing.
Yeah, but that's kind of the thing that kills me with this show sometimes is it will openly mock the right But then when there's like a left heavy issue like this, like there are states that are banning abortion and putting all these rules in place. Like I live in one of them. So when this show has a moment that it could actually approach a subject that matters to the left, they just, I feel like with this huge issue that's kind of part of the storyline is always just kind of brushed under the rug. Like her mom fucking tears her a new one, and then they brush it under the rug. And then we move on to the next scene. I feel like in the finale, I thought they would have approached it. In the 7th episode, I felt like it would have been approached a little more. And it just gets brushed under the rug. Like, I don't know. It's weird. For me, it's weird that they would write it into the storyline, but then not do anything with it.
I'll share my thoughts in a second. Jason, did you feel like it was brushed under the rug, though?
I mean, I didn't, but I guess I could see where Rick's point, like that he thought more would be done with it. I think it was one of those things that was a means to an end. Like, this is what's going to, be the thing that ends Starlight, quote unquote. So I guess I didn't really clock that, but I do get it that it's such a big thing that I could see the need to want to see it explored more, and maybe it will in the next season.
Yeah, I mean they could. I mean that's a storyline I guess they could go back to. I didn't personally take it as being thrown on the rug. I think they kind of they brought the issue up. They wrote it in there. They kind of addressed both views of it, like how one side views it and how the other side views it. And I think that was kind of it. Like I felt they did present both sides of the specific talking point. And then, I mean, I don't know what else you're supposed to do with it after that. Like, I just don't know where.
I just think it's such a hot button topic. Yeah. Like, I was just surprised that they didn't do more with it.
I just don't know what else you're supposed to do with it. Besides show one side with the mother's point of view and Firecracker using it to weaponize it. Like she got this information, Firecracker. She was like, "Ooh, I got something to weaponize with it." She fires her shot in the media at Starlight. Right? She's got more people. It was a thing to get more of the Vought supporters to hate her, which it worked, obviously, and it even came to the point where it did hurt Annie, even though she explains it. You can see it does weigh on her mind because she does talk about it on multiple scenes over the course of a couple of episodes. And then for the audience and it is for the audience to explain, she has that conversation with Huey and explains to her why she did it. So I think that was the writer's way of saying, this is the way one side sees it, and this is why they would get angry, and this is the other side that would give you the explanation of why one would not do it. And then that's it. I just don't know where you go from there. Like, if you keep harping back to that, I just don't know what else you do with it. That's how I saw it. So, for the sake of the show.
Great breakdown. You're totally accurate there. I think what I mean when I expected more is like, I didn't think the characters were going to be like, oh, okay, cool. Like, let's just move on.
Well,
I thought it would be something that would be harped on a little more. A lot of relationships are ruined by that. It drives a wedge in a lot of relationships. A lot of people don't just drop something like that. So during the course of this season, I just thought it would be, something that would be contentious between the two of them. And they just kind of like explained it just like you did.
Yeah.
And then they dropped it and moved on, which, okay, we gotta write in this shapeshifter thing next episode instead of explore the drama between our two main characters.
Well,
let's write this in.
Well, the way that I took it from the character's point of view was, it appeared to me like this was a joint decision by Huey and Annie. Like, they knew it. She wasn't breaking news to him. If she was breaking news to him, then I can understand. I'm with you then. Then I think you kind of got to write something else there.
That's probably where I'm at. That's probably where I'm at. Is I felt like he should have took it like breaking news, even though he knew.
No, he knew.
I don't know. It's just me expecting more. It's just me expecting more out of a plot line, you know? Same thing with Kimiko and Frenchie. Like, Frenchie's supposed to be powered. Like, but in this series, he's like a C-line character. Like, I would like a little more out of them. That's just me wanting to write my own story.
Well, two things. One, there's been an incredible amount of changes to the characters from the comic books. And for one who did not read the comic books, but from review things I've read, they normally would say that The Boys has done a much better. The show is more well written than the comic book.
You can't even compare it. It's not like The Walking Dead. The Walking Dead, you can compare the comic to the show. Yeah. With The Boys, you can't.
Well, because Garth Ennis is also not really involved in the show that much. This is mainly a property that was purchased, and they're like Web Weaver is completely different in the comics, and Tech Knight is a bit different, and Soldier Boy is drastically different from what we got and now. And there's a lot of the characters that are genuinely different. There's a lot going on. Even A-Train is different. I mean, A-Train's a white dude in the comics too, who apparently
is he really?
He is, and he blows translucent at the orders of Homelander. So as I'm saying, well, this show is drastically different from the thing. So that's why I kind of just try my best to like focus on the show. And I'm curious to get nuggets of like, oh, that's interesting. But then I kind of toss it away because I'm like, I'm not reading it anyway. So what the fuck?
Yeah, and it's not part of this necessarily.
No, it's not. It's not canon. This isn't. Yeah. All right, so then we get a scene here where Butcher goes ahead and tells the boys about his arrangement with Samir, but he's also coming clean and confessing to the team about what he did. Like, and then you get and Jason, I gotta want to get your thoughts on this because we didn't get a chance. Rick and I discussed it had a lot of fun talking about it the last 2 weeks. We get the evil devil Kessler over his shoulder. Like, what are you doing? How are you telling them you're fucking up our plans and stuff like that? And he's arguing with him briefly in front of the team. And even like Annie's like, who is he talking to? What the fuck is going on right now? I thought
that was great. I thought that was great. And what I love too is that I love that they don't make a big deal, like, because we didn't know that Kessler was in his head up until very recently, like one of the episodes I missed, right?
Yeah.
And they don't make a big deal. They don't smack you in the face with it. It's kind of subtle and then very apparent, and no one calls it out. And I really want to applaud the writing on that because they trust the audience to get it.
Yeah. There was somebody who did call it out a week before it happened. There was a guy. Rick knows what I'm talking about now.
Tim Sabala.
It was the other guy.
This guy?
It was this guy right here.
This guy.
Well, Rick and I actually literally just in the mid conversation kind of laid out everything on the table. Like, oh shit, wait a second. It's the devil and the angel on the shoulders.
Have you noticed that the wife has disappeared now, though?
Yeah, because
and it's only Negan now.
Yeah,
it's
because
only
where his head's at.
Yeah,
because of where his head's at, which we'll touch on in a bit more. But yeah, he goes at it and confesses the whole thing. MM also basically turns over leadership of the boys back to Butcher because he's like, I had my panic attack in the middle of a mission. Like, I can't do this. Like, I'm obviously, this has taken so much out of me that I am physically not even myself. And A-Train even catches up to him in a scene in episode 7 where he's like, dude, where are you going? Like, there's no out of this. You can protect your family because he's taking his family and they were just going to bounce. And he's like, dude, you can't go anywhere. Homelander, Vought, they will find you anywhere across the globe. What do you think? Like, they're not everywhere? And it brings, like, reality to him. And he even touches back on that point, Rick, that we talked about when A-Train even tells him, like, I had that moment where I rescued you and that kid looked at me. Mm-hmm. And that was everything to me. That was, like, a real save. Like, you would think moment. That's it. Yeah, right? Like, that was A-Train's first moment, and he genuinely felt like a hero and he was confessing this to MM in the scene.
And I'm going to say this, and I know I'm going to get burnt. I fucking know it, but I'm going to say it. I think A-Train is actually going to have a redemption arc. I think this is it.
Oh, Rick and I are fully on board with it now. There's no way around it now.
But
I know, but
think he's going to die before he can resolve it.
Yes.
Okay, I actually think that's what he deserves.
Yeah.
No, because A-Train's burned me every season. I go, he's gonna be good now. No, he's a fucking douchebag. But he wasn't in the purge of the season finale, which we'll get to. And he's been doing some good stuff. I hope this is redemption arc. I do like that character a lot.
Well, also Ashley has this breakdown where she fired her assistant just to get him out of Vought and everything. And A-Train, she even suggests to A-Train, like, we should get out of here. And it was actually pretty funny because A-Train takes it as like, oh, we should run away together, like romantically. She's like, oh, no, get out of here. I just mean like, you're fast. We need to get out of here. What the hell? I thought that was pretty funny. And then while investigating a potential assassination plot, the boys discover a shapeshifter. That literally, though, and I thought this was fascinating about the shapeshifter, and I think it's a lot because of we're dual watching X-Men at the same time, and we've seen Mystique and stuff like that as well. A whole lot is this shapeshifter literally rips their fucking physical skin off to change.
Yes.
I thought that was fascinating.
Oh, God, yes. It was. I did too. When I was watching them run and ripping their skin off, I was like, this is disgusting. And I never would have thought of this, but this makes perfect sense for the boys universe and how their shapeshifters would work. You literally have to rip off your skin to shapeshift. Ugh. Why would anyone do it?
Yeah, that was something. And we don't actually never actually see who the original form of the shapeshifter really at any point.
Well, no,
this, right? But at least that we believe.
And they say they say actually to when they confront who they double, which we'll get to, like, why am I pissed off? Why am I sociopathic? I don't even remember what I look like originally. Like, they say that. When I thought that was interesting.
It is, and also like we covered Mystique and Morph, and like we've been knee deep in X-Men for like months now. So I think that's why it's more prevalent to us.
The shapeshifter from Godolkin, right? The shapeshifter from Generation Gen V.
Yeah, you're right, Gen V. Yeah.
So we've been like neck deep in shapeshifters recently.
Yeah, and it also tells us too that in the boys' universe, there are multiple. I mean, Butcher says it at one point that there's multiple shapeshifters, but they don't all do it the same exact way. Because we've also questioned Morph and Mystique, do they do it the same way?
Right. And there's nothing to say they would. They're different people. Their powers develop differently.
It's comic science. So whatever you decide it is, just be consistent. So Firecracker tracks down Webweaver, or the startling Spider-Man parody, and basically because she's trying to find their Homelander and Firecracker are doing their own investigation of who the real leak is, because they find out that it wasn't fake Tucker Carlson over there. So they go ahead.
Yes, fake Tucker Carlson.
Yeah, come on. I thought he was definitely that's who it was. His name will come back to me in a minute, but whenever I forget it, that's my default to go to. So they get him in a room and they interrogate him, and Firecracker's like, I've got the leak. This is who it is, presenting him to Homelander. And we find out that apparently he sort of shits out webs from his back hole whenever he's nervous, and he's totally shitting himself when he encounters Homelander. But he also easily confesses in 2 seconds. And I thought it was actually a kind of funny moment briefly before we get a horrifying moment when he's like, tell me how it works with Butcher. And he's like, well, he comes to me, he asks me for stuff, and I tell him. That's it. And Homelander's just like, okay. and he's like, "I'm gonna make you proud, man. I'll save you." Jason, he rips him in fucking half, literally. Rips him in half.
Yep. Homelander.
And the audience is Firecracker, who's mortified by this.
Yeah, and I think it's super interesting to watch Firecracker's progression as a character through these last 2 episodes, because she went from "I'm putting myself on drugs so you can milk at my titties" to "Oh my god, I can't believe you just did that." And this isn't like the last time we see her kind of have this weird reaction, not weird, but this unpleasant reaction to Homelander. So I think that's interesting too, that we're also seeing it get to her.
Yeah. We also do get an interesting thing where Kimiko they have a conversation with Frenchie, and she explains the real reason why she can't speak. And it is sort of quasi retcon from earlier seasons, because like her brother tells the story and another time, but they do address it, because she says, "Well, I lied to my brother." And then she's like, "This is the real reason. I end up when Shining Light had me kill somebody, I had to do it silently. And then when I tried to speak again, I just couldn't. That was it. I remained in silence moving forward."
And it wasn't just someone, right? She had to kill someone that she knew, wasn't it? Like,
yeah, it was somebody like a friend of hers, but then she kept killing, became a killing machine.
Yeah.
And I think it's really interesting is that her and Frenchie are dealing with similar shit in this, because he's also turned himself in a couple episodes ago to the authorities, because he is a killing machine also, and that he's it's coming down on him now. It's weighing on him.
Yeah, because we find out, I don't remember if I was on the episode we found this out, but we find out that he killed the parents of the guy that he was hooking up with and kind of getting interested in. And then he turns himself in after that because, again, killing machine. And I think the fact that him and Kimiko are on the same sort of path is nice, because this ends with them kind of getting together, which I think we all wanted, right? We all shipped those two.
Oh, for sure. And I'll hold my counsel, because it was nice. It was actually a nice moment that I thought that they got to have. Which I
agree.
It's one of those nice moments, besides the crazy bloodshed and all the insanity that's going to come from scene to scene.
Yeah.
Well, I think one of my favorite things in episode 7, because Homelander is talking to Deep, and meanwhile he's like, and it's kind of weaved in from Ambrosia's death, and we don't get to hear the orders, but Homelander sends Noir and Deep, because he's had it with Butcher and the boys. He literally just sends them to their fucking hideout and is like, "Go fucking kill them already. Like, enough with this bullshit." And they show up and they run into Butcher and Starlight, and they're throwing down with, Black Noir 2 or whatever. And it's fucked up. And some of the shit that Deep is saying to Starlight there is crazy. Like, "Yo, that Me Too shit, that didn't work. It's over. Just get over it. I don't care about your truth. I don't care about all of this. And guess what? I don't regret shit, like, for what he had done to her." And they fucking really go at it finally in a real fist fight here.
Which I was happy to see. The Deep is my favorite of the 7, just because he is the most pathetic, and I love watching him get the shit kicked out of him. I love it.
No, so do I. And Butcher throws down with, like, new Black Noir, who me and Rick were wondering if it was going to be a throwaway line, but knew it was going to happen. He fucking flies. The actor playing him actually has V and can fly, and flies away at one point in the middle of the fight with Butcher, because MM, and the crazy shit was, though, Jason, talk about that redemption arc. A-Train and MM show up after their conversation and bust in the door and save the fucking day. And MM gets a hold of a minigun and fucking sprays Noir with it. This was an awesome action scene that we got right here.
Yeah, no, it was. And I actually was going to ask, like, we don't know yet what Noir's powers are, right? Like, the actor took the V, but we don't know. That's what I mean, new Noir, because he's a different, although same actor, which I appreciate. so the actor is still working, just he's playing a different version of the character. But yeah, no, I was curious if we knew what his powers were, because he actually seems a bit more powerful than the old Noir.
Well, yeah, because I mean, even though the other one was kind of like physically just strong, like this guy can fly, and we're learning little by little about him, and it's wild. And apparently, I mean, he gets hit with a bunch of fucking bullets and lead, and from a minigun, and it doesn't kill him because he flies away. And even MM tells them, like, we got to get out of here because I don't know how to kill Noir. You don't know it, but he knows how to kill us. So we got to get moving, which I thought was pretty cool. And then another scene, Homelander finds out about this whole thing, like finds out that the leak. They have a conversation where the leak wasn't. He finds out who it is. He finds out it's A-Train, and he's broken up about this. Apparently, we don't have many moments we see Homelander look distorted. He was like, "Man, I can't believe A-Train did this to me," and all this. Even though all the shit he's done to A-Train, and he fires Sage.
He doesn't even register that.
No, not at all. Which
that was insane.
When he fires Sage and just is like, "Fuck you, you're out." Like, you should have seen this coming, and tells her, "You can go back to your little hole in Detroit, and you'd be lucky that you're not leaving in a bucket." Meaning, like, yeah, I can still destroy you.
Yep.
If I really want to.
Sage, by the way, I realize is the character I would be in The Boys.
You would be Sage.
If I were a character in this show, I would be Sage, just because, like, we see it later, but like we find out that she had her plan, and she says to Homelander, I stuck to the plan. I just wanted to see if it would work. That's me. I just want to see if the things I think of would work. I just want to see if I'm. I really appreciate that.
Then we get that little, while Sage is leaving, we get this pretty funny scene actually with Deep and Noir, and they're bro. They're literally just saying bro to each other back and forth. Yeah. And then we get a random confession from Black Noir to Sage, like, but I love you. We didn't have a thing. And Deep is like, wait a second, she's lobotomizing herself to fuck you too? It was such a weird, quick interaction between the three of them. It was pretty funny.
But then Black Noir's like, lobotomizing? Like,
oh yeah, he's like, wait, what's going on here? No, clearly not. Another quick
Deep
shitting
is
on
so
him.
pathetic.
And then Samir, who's been working on the virus, has it and injects Kimiko's leg with it to try to like shield himself so he can get the fuck out of there. And Frenchie has to cut her damn leg off completely to try to save, and ends up saving Kimiko from dying, which I thought was kind of wild.
Which it's good that it's her, because her leg just grows right back.
Oh yeah, of course, very Deadpool style, because she has like a baby leg in another scene, which I thought was
exactly.
Funny. And then Butch is in a bar having this whole conversation with himself, basically as Kessler, and sees Ryan on TV speaking up as that he's filming that Avenue V thing, and he's heartwarming and says right there, "Kid's doing the right thing. That's why I have faith in him." Because he asked him earlier, like, "Why do you believe in this kid? Like, he's not even yours. What the fuck is going on here?" Which I'm sure, again, Kessler is Butcher, so these are genuine internal questions he has for himself.
Absolutely. It's his two sides. It's the side of him that existed before his wife was raped and murdered, and then the side, then Billy the Butcher. Like, these are the two sides arguing it out. Hey, bud.
Good night. Good night.
So then we also do get the closing scene of episode 7 is the shapeshifter posing as Starlight and puts on the Starlight costume and has sex with Huey. And that's going down here. But meanwhile, that's just basically a means to an end to get the dirt on Newman, who they have on computer on file. So he's able to go, like the shapeshifter themselves is able to get that, and then we find out that Annie is locked up somewhere, and it was the waitress all along that kind of like drugged her, and that's how she was able to infiltrate and kind of go ahead and get the dirt there, and that's where episode 7 ends.
Yeah, and that's a cool ending too, just to see like Annie, the real Annie, chained up like in the dark place like that. I thought that was awesome because I didn't see that coming. That took me by surprise.
Yeah, I agree. I kind of didn't. The shapeshifter thing kind of escaped, or like it just disappeared out of my head for a minute, and I'm like, oh shit! Like now we've seen the whole thing. So, and that takes us into the finale, which was dropped today. So,
yep.
Yeah. The opening of this is just more shots, which I thought would just, I'm sorry, I just think they're hilarious. Because this episode basically revolves around a January 6th plot to assassinate the president of who's about to get their election sealed and approved, which again, the sugarcoating just not there anymore. It's just in your face, deal with it.
Sorry, Maga. It was, you were the butt of the joke all along. Sorry. I mean, that's what it was.
that was the twist in the end.
Hey, don't worry about it. The twist is going to be that you win again and imprison us all. It's fine. It'll be even.
We'll see, because what plays out here is, I mean, they canceled the movie Training A-Train because A-Train, the word is out. A-Train was the plug-in. A-Train has turned on them. So I thought that was a pretty interesting thing. But what is said about it, that they're going to, we'll just take the right off and we'll go ahead and lose it in the end. That was obviously a shot at Warner Brothers, which I fucking thought was
absolutely
great. Yeah. That was
I love that. Like the Ashley says it. No, the movie's done, but we all agreed that it would just be, we'd make more money just to take the hit.
Yeah, for those unaware, Warner Brothers did that with Batgirl. So I thought that was a pretty fun, like, meta in the fandom joke that I thought was pretty damn funny.
Yeah, for sure.
And we also get a hashtag All Lives Matter PSA from the set.
Oh my God, with the deep going, I take responsibility for racism.
He is I say he is the funniest character on the show, because again, he is such a piece of shit, but it's funny. It is really funny.
That's the thing is, you look at A-Train. I look at A-Train every season and go, he can do better. Please, A-Train, do better. I look at the deep and I go, you can go lower. Now you can sink lower, you piece of shit.
And then we catch up with the shapeshifter, who apparently proposes to Huey because they're still in the apartment together, and just trying to distract and just infiltrate the boys there. And they also apparently had really sex 20 times in 10 days.
With some butt stuff, 2 fingers.
Yes, that is also thrown in there as well. So we do find a little bit about Huey's sexual innuendos here and preferences, which I thought was also some funny shit.
But I do love the idea that he kind of he's seeing that there's something wrong, and every time he sees it, she responds by love bombing him, right? And then eventually, and proposes. I think I love that. I think that's really awesome. I think it's again kind of symbolic for bad relationships where abusive relationships. But yeah, I loved it so much, and I love the idea. Oh, all right, so we'll talk about this when we get there. But I do have a hard-hitting question, Ed. Hard-hitting question.
Yes, go. All right, here we go. We're back to hard-hitting questions.
You have been replaced by a shapeshifter for a month.
Mm-hmm.
You come back. Angie has had sex with the Ed shapeshifter in that month. Are you mad at her, or do you give her the pass because you thought it was you?
I am so happy that you brought this up because this is what I was going to bring up later. I mean, we can. I think it's fun. We can talk about overall storylines here within the episode. We don't think we keep cutting back and forth. I did think that Annie was kind of an asshole about. Like, I get she was angry in the moment, right? Like, obviously, you would be angry in general, but you can't shit on Huey because how the fuck is he gonna know? Yeah, she lays out exactly like the personal differences with it, but like he's not thinking about that within the moment of what's happening. You know what I mean? Even in their world where superpowers exist and stuff like that. So he didn't know the swap happened. No one knew the swap happened.
Yeah.
And we also find out something very interesting though. Remember, a lot of shape-shifting stuff gets foiled because they misspeak or they, or something like that. We actually find out this shapeshifter goes back to the original host and absorbs the memories.
Yep.
So
she actually did share a memory with Huey. That was a memory of Starlight's.
Yes.
So
how is he gonna know that?
Yeah, I agree. I'm going to say this to Regina or any of, anyone who I've ever been with, ever might be with. If I am replaced by a doppelganger, when I come back, just don't tell me the sex was better and I'll forgive you. That's it. That's all I ask.
Well, Hugh even, but I guess, I don't know, maybe Hugh even said that in a roundabout way because he was like, because we find out this happened in 10 days. Right, like the replacements happened for 10 days, and she's like, "Yeah, we did it like 20 times and stuff like that." And she was like, "What? Like, none of this rang a bell with you at any point?" So I thought it was funny, but I did think that it was kind of fucked up that Huey's getting the shit into the stick on that.
Yeah, it's not his fault. I don't think you can ever blame someone. It's not cheating if you think it's your partner, right?
She fit it. I'll say it because we actually have no idea the original form of the shapeshifter. We don't know. True. Like, listen, they had the memories. They had everything down pat. I mean, what are you going to do about it? It's different if they were misspeaking constantly and stuff. Like, when that gets foiled in movies and TV shows, I can understand in a way. Like, but this was crazy. Like, this was next level, like, key shapeshifting here. This is better than Mystique or Morph by a mile because of the memory part.
I agree. I agree.
So we also do get Homelander losing his shit when he finds a picture, the picture that Butcher gifted Ryan in his book bag of simply Butcher and his wife. It's a nice picture of them. And he goes fucking lasers his whole apartment and loses his shit. Ryan walks in and he like demands like come over here and all this stuff. Like he gets nasty with him and Ryan gets the fuck out of there rightfully because he's like no, I don't trust you shitbag. All right, so we've mentioned that, blah blah blah. And I thought there was another sweet moment in this episode where Butcher, when we catch up with Butcher and he's laying in the hospital bed after collapsing in the previous episode, he calls Huey to basically apologize to the team that he let them down and says goodbye. And we don't get a lot of Butcher moments like that because we do know, like, at the heart, and the character does have a heart. He might be a lot of things, but I feel like the difference between him and Homelander is that there is an actual genuine heart of Billy Butcher under the whole thing.
And I think we've discussed that, right? That's, but Homelander's a sociopath in the sense that he feels nothing for no one. I think Butcher is more like, no, I feel a lot. I just bury it and hurt myself when I feel. So I have to do shitty things. Like like it doesn't make one better than the other, but definitely it's a different psychological makeup.
Mm-hmm. And then Homelander also basically brings him, Homelander and Newman appear on the Truth Bomb with Firecracker, and dude, Homelander outs her right in front of the camera and in public, lasers her. She does, and that's the whole thing causes the entire rest of the episode to kick into a whole nother fucking gear.
Yep.
This one quick moment here, and things that Homelander says to her. Well, because this whole thing is basically like, listen, the whole coup that's going on, you know, they refer to like the 25th Amendment here that's been being hatched, is they're going to kill the president-elect on January 6th, and they're going to elect Newman being the vice president who's getting sworn in, would take over. And they would be, and he even says, you're going to be a fucking puppet. I might as well have my hand up your ass talking.
Yeah.
And if you stray one bit, I will kill your daughter, referring to Zoe, and mail you her one part a month. How sick is that?
Yeah, that's brutal. That's brutal. And that's why when she actually calls Huey and is like, I want out. I need out. And Huey's like, what? I don't believe you. And she's like, you know, and she convinced him like, no. I this will never end. I keep doing this until so I can survive, but this is never going to end. And I kind of like that. I thought that was an awesome character moment.
Well, and I think it's interesting you bring that up too, because Newman realizes that, right? And then at the end of the episode, kind of Huey realizes that eventually, I guess, by after that conversation. And that's kind of what MM realizes in the end. But he also takes it where I need to save my family and get them to safety. I personally, as much as an emotional and physical toll this is taken on me, I can't escape it. I have to go back and in the shit and just deal with it. And that's that. Like, for the betterment of everyone else. So I think it's interesting that a lot of our characters are dealing with that. They see that the cycle is just going on and it's never going to end. This war.
Right, exactly. And they all have people keeping him there. I think, you know, when Huey realizes it's never going to end, it's because of Butcher, right? And Butcher's actions. And you know, his violence, which we'll get to. And, you know, the vice president-elect realizes it because of Homelander's violence. And, you know, everyone's realizing it because they're all caught in this, like, repetition of violence. They can't help it.
So Butcher texts Ryan from his hospital bed and tells him to come see him. And he also calls Mallory, who we haven't seen in a while. And she shows up. They're having this conversation, and they kind of in agreement, like, Butcher knows he's gonna die, and he's like, all right, I'm gonna try to save Ryan now once and for all. And they have a conversation, and before that conversation, though, they decide, like, Ryan says he wants to play Connect 4, basically, with Butcher. And they play this game, and it's kind of like a friendly thing that's going on. And once they get word that something has happened, and I guess we should probably go over that first, then he basically tells, like, Ryan, like, you got to go with Mallory. And Mallory tells Ryan all the truth about Homelander. Like, he murdered all those people on that plane. He's murdered numerous people. We have a lot of evidence. Like, your father is not who you think he is. And he's trying not to believe it. He doesn't want to buy it, even though, like, I think Ryan kind of knows something's off with his father, but when he hears all these stories, this is too horrific. And then he tries to leave, but Mallory's like, you kind of can't leave. Like, if we want to take you by force, then we will, but you're going to come with us. And they tell him, like, you are the only one that can stop him. And Ryan pushes back, like, I'm not going to go ahead and be trained to murder my father. So there's an interesting, very crazy thing that Ryan's dealing with from his perspective.
I agree. And he says this is exactly what people did to my father, and Butcher's like, it's not the same, and it's not. But I get how he feels it is.
Exactly. So I really like the complex thinking that they took to go with Ryan in here, because it is interesting. Like because you're right. Yes, it's similar, but it's not the same. You know, and who knows?
Right.
Ryan has the physical abilities to be a Homelander one day, but not this.
Right. And you know, and I think they also made a good point too. Like, I think Rick made this point. Like, Ryan has been sheltered, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so the fact that he's been sheltered, now they're putting this upon him. It's like, I don't know, 2 years ago I was a normal kid. Now you want me to kill my dad, and my dad is shooting places up because I have a picture of my stepdad in my bag, you know, because that's essentially what it was. Like, it wasn't the mother, it was Butcher, and Butcher's his stepdad.
Yeah, but he also finds out. I mean, and this was one that kind of hit me, was Ryan just finds out that, I mean, they tell him you're basically a child of rape. Like, Homelander raped your mother. That that's got to hit him pretty fucking hard.
Yeah, well, that's why he reacts the way he does. That's why he winds up, I think he kills her, right?
Yeah, I mean, I took it as Mallory's dead, because he, you know, just kind of pushes her out of a reaction, and she goes headfirst into a wall. We don't get the typical boys bloody scenario, but I was taking that she's dead. Yeah, I was taking she's dead.
Yeah, me too. And I think that's why it happens, because he's so taken aback, and like, he does. You're right. He knows that there are warning signs for Homelander, because it's like a child and abusive situation. You know there are warning signs, but you don't put it together because it's not your reality until you realize what reality is outside of your own. And I think that's what they're trying to do here. And like, I think that's what the 5th season is going to be. I think the 5th season is going to be the war for the soul of the kid. Yeah. And Homelander's the devil, and Butcher's the angel? Question mark.
I know. Exactly. It's an interesting. Only with the boys would we get an angel that is the form of Billy Butcher, and a lot of things he does. Well, the devil part of it, Homelander gives Deep a list of Vought employees. Apparently, anyone that would oppose him or that has dirt on him or the 7. But Homelander also says, specifically me, they need to be taken off the board permanently. That's that. So
fucking terrible.
As they're having a conversation, and also, by the way, by the end of the day, this whole episode, the finale takes place in one day, all on their January 6th. So they basically, Firecracker, Noir, and Deep go around murdering Vought employees in Vought Tower. But Deep raises a good question. He was like, I don't see Ashley's name on this list. Shouldn't she be at the top of it? And very matter-of-factly...
No, go ahead, because I want to add something to it.
Yeah, what I was going to say is, very matter-of-factly, she happens to be outside the door, who was just kicked out of the room, hears this, freaks the fuck out, understandably, runs, goes to get some Compound V immediately, and injects herself. And we see her kind of like mutating in a way and stuff like that. Her wig falls off because we know she's been pulling out her hair and all of that. And that's it. That's the last we see of Ashley in this episode. So I am really interested to see where the hell it picks up with her in season 5.
I definitely want to see where it picks up with her in season 5. And also, don't forget, the list they were working off that didn't have her name on it was a list that Homelander made her put together. So she was outside and got to hear the Deep go, Ashley's name is not on this list of people we're going to kill. Let's put it on there. And she already was having that moment of, this isn't good. I don't want to do this.
Yep. So the boys basically go ahead and they get the president-elect to a bunker, and he's down there and they're protecting him. But also with the boys, shapeshifter Annie is with them and kind of like is going about their business, the Secret Service there, and she starts, they start complaining that it's hot. And that triggers Huey to be like, oh shit, and flashes back, and they show you all the times that the shapeshifters complained that it's hot. That rings a bell. And I actually thought it was funny the way Huey communicates it with because like, don't look forward, look forward. Like
Don't
so
look.
awkwardly,
Keep
he's
looking
fucking telling him
Look at me.
this.
Yeah.
It just showed some of
That
Huey's
was
kind of
awesome.
inexperience in this moment. And
and
a whole fight breaks out. Kimiko's fighting the shapeshifter and stuff like that. Like, gets her neck snapped and then obviously heals from it. It's crazy stuff. And then real Annie shows up and explains later how she found her way there by Find My iPhone, which I thought was smart. And they have a whole throwdown there and chokes him out. Meanwhile, though, shapeshifter Annie is murdering the Secret Service in the most brutal ways imaginable, left and right.
I love that. And I also love when Annie gets out, like the way she gets out, it's fucking brutal because she can't use her powers, right? And I think the whole thing is it's psychosomatic, right? Like because she's not allowing herself to use her powers. She whittles down the skin on her wrists and rips them out. And watching that, I was like, oh my God, that's brutal. And then when she comes and like, when she's beating the shit out of Annie, and then she gets her by the throat, and Annie's like, trying to torment her, like, I had your life, this and that. And she's like, yeah, you're right. I don't got my shit together. And then she says something funny and then chokes her to death, which I was like, that's awesome. That's right.
And I guess we covered some of this. Blah, blah, blah. All right. So, yeah, that's when Huey kind of just basically like tells the team that they need to take a different approach to this. Like, to fight monsters, we can't actually be monsters. And we've heard this, like, it's kind of somewhat like Batman's thing. Like, he'll go to certain points and, like, you can't go to certain limits, otherwise you're the same as the villain that you're tracking down. So,
right.
That's how I took it. And they were like, they're going to go with forgiveness here. And that's after following up the conversation he had with Newman, because he wants to meet up with them, save Zoe, and help her get out. And MM is suspicious and was like, tells Frenchie, load up that gun with the virus shot, and if Newman ever tries to double cross us, moves a fucking inch the wrong way, you put that virus right in her and fucking end that shit immediately. And they go to the meetup, and on their way to the meetup is when we get that moment that when they're talking about forgiveness, Kimiko has this conversation, says to Frenchie, like, hey, that whole thing I told you about Colin and stuff like that, it's only because I think I wanted you to be with someone who's better than me. That's why. But she's looking down on herself on this whole thing. And they have that moment where they kind of have their little kiss and everything. And, and it's nice. It's a nice moment. Because again, like you said, everyone and their mother was shipping the two of them together anyway. So now it's like an official thing. And we said Ryan kills, blah, blah, blah. All right, so then during that meetup, though, Butcher arrives. And he gets on the thing, kind of has the smirk and the look to him, and he kind of looks like he's a little bit not the guy we just saw on their deathbed, and has these tentacles flying out of his fucking chest. Jason, he rips Newman literally in half. And
oh, yeah.
I
Blood
did
everywhere.
not see that coming. I did not see that one coming.
Me neither.
Completely admit that one. That was a total curveball for me.
Me neither. And I almost texted you and Rick this morning when I watched it and stopped because I went, no, they might not have watched it yet. So I stopped myself because I watched it and I went, what the fuck just happened?
And I suspected for a moment, I'm like, wait, is the shapeshifter not dead? Is that because I was like, he didn't look like this the last time we just saw him. But then Frenchie just points out, you took V. So yeah, he injected himself again to complete, I guess the mission he wanted to complete was to take out Newman, and that was it. And then in the aftermath of that, though, we find out that Homelander is seeing this on TV and is looking like he's lost, but then Sage walks in all jolly and happy and is like, "We won." He's like, "What are you talking about?"
I
And he's
love
like,
that.
"This was it. This was the plan." He's like, "But I fired you. I kicked you to the curb. I treated you like shit. I gave up on it." He's like, "But I never gave up on the plan. This was our plan the entire time." And Jason, you quoted
'cause
it
she
earlier.
says-
Yeah.
Yeah, she says like, well, I mean, this was the plan. This was my plan. I didn't tell you the whole thing because, you're you were gonna do like she knew. She fucking knew the whole time this was gonna happen. And when he says to her, "Well, what do you get out of it?" She goes, "Well, I just wanted to see if I was right."
Yeah.
I get that so much.
I was just like, I was still kind of stunned. Like, since the Butcher ripping Newman in half moment to this, I was just like, wait, what is going on right now? As I honestly didn't, I knew Sage would be back at some point, but I didn't think it at all was going to be in this fashion. And they get the president-elect framed for the murder of the vice president and saying that it was the boys. Get basically pinned. This gets totally pinned on them, which I mean, it's not wrong because Butcher is part of the team, and it was that. And
I mean, it doesn't get pinned on them. Butcher did it.
No, Butcher did it. But that's what I'm saying. But the point is, we'll get to in a second. But the whole team suffers for his actions, and the Speaker of the House, who we've met in the last couple of episodes, is given power and calls in martial law. And introduces Homelander as that's basically what everyone's going to be reporting to. He even like butts in front of him in the middle of his speech because Homelander's basically like, "I'm the fucking man running the whole thing now," and calls war. He even says he's deputizing all soups that they're going to go ahead and take care of everything, and they're going to hunt down, the boys and stuff like that. Like they're on the run now, and we see them splitting up into different cars, the team. Like they're getting new IDs and new passports and stuff like that. We kind of think that they're home free. No pun intended with that one. But they're not. And I kind of like, we see the Guardians of the Godolphin catch up with Frenchie and Kimiko, so they don't get their fair. Well, they get kind of imprisoned. And Love Sausage comes back to get MM. This guy can't get away from him. He literally gets smacked.
I know.
With the Love Sausage in the head in a fucking public bathroom.
He gets cock slapped.
He gets
cock slapped. MM does not deserve that unless he's asking for it and wants it. Which
and
he
it
did
just
not
keeps happening to him.
It's not cool. Leave MM alone.
And Starlight and Huey get attacked too by that kid with the shaved head. I think he was like from an earlier season. I couldn't recall the name again, but Starlight gets her powers back and flies away. She gets the fuck out because she's got to survive. And
then, Huey gives it the look like, go.
Yeah, get out of here. Like we gotta play the long game here. So it's not like now that Starlight was abandoning him. And Butcher is the one who doesn't get caught at this moment, who is kind of driving away and dealing with the back seat of the car. We see, his version this dude, Kessler is kind of running the show there. And that's kind of where it leads off until we get to the mid-credit scene, which apparently Homelander is being shown Soldier Boy in the tube that he's being preserved this whole time and sees him through the glass. And starts tearing up. His reaction is very complicated there. And he's like, this whole fucking time. Like, he thought Soldier Boy was dead because, remember, that's what everyone was told. But now that he has full reign of everything, he gets served Soldier Boy on a platter. So, wow. Like, what the fuck is Homelander going to do to this guy now? Because it's a complex relationship.
Yeah.
That's his father. He knows
it is, yeah. Yeah, I'm excited to see where this goes, and because he's getting let out. I mean, you know we're getting Soldier Boy back for the last season.
Yeah, and a character that me and you both have an affinity for. Like, he's such a great character too. And man, they just, man, I can't believe, like, they've got me. They left me on such a fucked up note, because this was a down note that we see, you know, our heroes all getting tracked down and hunted and captured. And
Yeah.
I saw stuff on X earlier saying that it's not shooting until the middle of next year, that we're not getting season 5 until 2026. I hope that's wrong. I hope that's wrong. I really hope that's wrong.
I do too, but I wouldn't be surprised though. I mean, these shows take forever, but I hope it's wrong as well.
Yeah, because I think we're obviously getting Gen V season 2 when that picks up production again, because, you know, unfortunately they had to deal with the actor, you know, unfortunately passing away and everything, so they have to kind of rework that whole thing.
Yeah,
maybe it is because of that, where they kind of got to wait for Gen V to go first, because part of that the storyline will pick up there. So, I guess before we wrap up the boys, like, overall thoughts on the season. Like, how did you feel this season overall? I mean, we saw some things a little bit different, and I know it was getting review bombed, unfortunately, and then we had the whole crazy unseen twist on a certain portion of the audience that they didn't know that the joke was on them.
Yeah. Oh my God. I thought the season was great. I thought, I don't think it's the best season, but
yeah, I
think it was still very solid. I actually think, for me, as much as I love the fact that they are being super obvious, like, hey, yeah, we're making fun of you. For me, it's like, I'm like, oh God, this hits so much home now. Like, this reminds me of real life.
well, which I would say, that's been some of the criticism, or even of people that have liked the season. They just, I think some maybe preferred the humor when it was not as direct, but it seems like,
yeah,
again, for me personally, it still works. But
I think it works too. But it's making me look at shit where that I'm like, oh God, I don't want to look at this. I know my country's fucked. I get it. I'm here. I live here. But having said that, I think this was a really good season. I think there was a lot of good character development. Maybe we might actually get A-Train's atonement finally.
I guess that's a question, right? Rick posed it before I think he's dealing with some technical stuff. Do we think A-Train is going to survive the show, or do you think he's going to die a heroic? I kind of think he might die a heroic death in the last season.
Heroic death.
Yeah,
I agree with you and Rick. Heroic death all the way. Yeah, because here's the thing: A-Train's that kind of character that if he doesn't die a heroic death, he's just going to cop out of his brave choice anyway and fuck himself over. So he needs to die the heroic death so we can remember him fondly.
Yeah, that's kind of what I think. He ends up sacrificing himself to save maybe Huey or somebody like that. Kind of like a full circle moment is going to be my guess. But that's how A-Train goes. But it's, yeah, I don't know. I'm really fascinated to see how this is going to end. Like, I can't wait, man. I cannot wait for this, because they definitely got to stick the landing with season 5. They've had 4 strong seasons. Gen V, if you want to count, so technically 5 seasons of boys television that have been really good.
I have no doubt they're going to stick the landing, especially because they're ending on their own terms.
Yeah,
they clearly know how they want this to end. They're not milking it out. They've given us nothing but quality. I agree with you. There's no way they're not going to stick the landing.
Yeah, like, this is arguably my favorite show now. It just is.
I can see that.
Out of the ones we cover, and even the ones that I watch personally that we don't talk about here, this is probably my favorite show. So
yeah, I can absolutely see that. Definitely my favorite show we cover.
Yeah. All right. So I guess it does take us to our movie of the week. So for those who have been following along with us, we've been counting down. So now, I mean, we're 2 shows away from getting to discuss Deadpool and Wolverine. So we've been taking a look back at the Fox X-Men movies, and that has brought us to X-Men Dark Phoenix, which actually is not the original title of this movie. When this movie was released in theaters, it was just Dark Phoenix, and then I guess they thought they were so clever they didn't even have to write X-Men in it, and eventually they put X-Men in the title and retitled it X-Men Dark Phoenix. Yes, I'm sure it made a huge difference.
Good for them.
Boy. All right, it's not, and I'm sure it's not going to shock anyone here. This movie's a fucking train wreck. This movie, I'm going to tell you the truth. I think this is the third time I've watched this movie because I did see it opening night in the preview night in the theater. And Jason, your self-conscious saved you initially from this pain.
It knew.
Right? You overslept. Yep. And you were supposed to come meet me.
Yeah.
You've never done that before or after ever again. That one time it saved you.
That one time I went home, I was because I teach, so I get out early. I went home, was like, yeah, let me just sit here and watch some TV before I walk to the theater, because it's a walk for me.
Yes.
Next thing I know, it's like 9 o'clock, and I get a text from you like, I didn't know you weren't showing up tonight. And I'm like, I didn't either. How was the movie? And you were like, hey, you would better sleep on your couch.
Yeah, that was my reply. And the thing was this, my expectations going into this movie the first time I saw it were not high. Like, this movie got delayed, and some of it was COVID related, delayed, but then there was reshoots we heard of and stuff like that. And apparently they had to scrap the whole third act because it was too similar to Captain Marvel. Because apparently the shapeshifters we get in this movie were supposed to be the Skrulls. Like, that's what it was.
What?
And apparently,
why?
Dude, there's a wild story behind this movie. And this was supposed to originally come out around when Captain Marvel came out. And they had to scrap the whole thing because they're like, fuck, this is too similar to what they did. I don't know how they didn't know this. Like, when it says in association with Marvel, this right here tells you, not really. No, it's not. There's no association whatsoever, dude. All you gotta do is pick up the phone with Kevin Feige and be like, dude, this is what we're thinking. And he would have told you, scrap that shit in a writing process. Save it. And no. They shot it and then had to reshoot it. And this is what we were handed.
But also, why are the Skrulls your first thought? The Skrulls are a Fantastic Four villain.
Jason, I don't know. I don't know what a lot of the thinking of this movie was at all. Because we have seen the Dark Phoenix. We've read, all right? We both read the Phoenix Saga in the comics. We both read the Dark Phoenix Saga. We have seen this in the animated series play out, right? Separate. We've seen X-Men The Last Stand, which Simon Kinberg was one of the writers on. Okay? Important thing to note quickly. Then that's huge
because there's so many Last Stand. I'm sorry, go ahead.
There's
so many Last Stand moments in this that it's infuriating.
Yes, but Jason, you want to know what's more infuriating? Their idea is like, all right, Apocalypse didn't do what we thought it was going to do. We got Bryan Singer back into the fold, and besides what you may or may not think of Bryan Singer personally, but the X-Men movie franchise, for more or less, is kind of his baby, right? He did direct 4 of the movies. They got him back in the fold, but then they're like, well, in Apocalypse, we couldn't help ourselves once again and had to set up the Phoenix once again because we couldn't help it. And we need to move forward, but we're going to kick him to the curb. We're going to get Simon Kinberg in and make his directorial debut in Dark Phoenix. So he's going to write and direct this thing. Let's see how this turns out.
God.
Yeah, Jason, it's
Holy
much
shit.
worse. It's much worse when you know the behind the scenes, and it explains more when you see the film of what we got. So you're trying to tell me you turned the reins over to the X-Men franchise for their farewell, because we all knew this was the end of the X-Men proper, because this movie was in production when Disney purchased Fox, right? So we knew that.
Holy shit. Is this movie that old?
Yes, this movie
Like
is
that
that
new,
old
I mean?
now. Yeah, like it's. I'm saying it's older now, but that's and again,
No,
this
but I'm
movie
saying,
was
like,
delayed years.
This movie came out while Captain Marvel was out. This movie came out while Disney was in the like throes of buying the franchise. Like, this is a movie that would have been perfectly acceptable in 2000s. That's why I'm so shocked that it's such a newer movie.
This movie was released in 2019. So, Jason, this was pre-pandemic. Actually, so I take that back. It was
Holy
not.
shit.
It wasn't during. It wasn't delayed because of COVID. My bad. I was thinking New Mutants. My apologies. I misspoke there. It was released in 2019. So pre-pandemic. This movie is what, 5 years old now? No, 6 years old. And it came out around the time we were getting Infinity War, and this is when we got Endgame actually.
Oh my god!
Yes.
Wow.
So, yeah, this movie is something, and it was dealing with a lot of shit with that. It went through developmental hell. But your decision to give Simon Kinberg this film after he wrote so he fucked up the Phoenix Saga the first time in X-Men: The Last Stand. Let's give him another shot at this and let him direct it this time, and let's see how it goes.
And it's so sad because, again, like, when I first saw this movie, not in the theater, thankfully, this is the second time I saw this movie. When I first saw this movie, and then the second time, I remember thinking, wow, this is retreading some shit from X3 that just didn't work then. And I didn't understand it until just now. That's ridiculous. So why would you give this guy the reins to anything? He already fucked up this particular storyline.
Yeah, like if we'd have gotten a Bryan Singer directed second chance at, or even anyone else, a second chance at the Phoenix. Number one, tell the Phoenix Saga before you tell the Dark Phoenix Saga. How about that? Let's try that. You don't need to shortcut to Dark Phoenix. Tell us the Phoenix Saga first. There's no Shi'ar to be found in this movie. There's no Lilandra. There's no nothing. I thought Jessica Chastain was Lilandra when she was cast. Apparently not. Totally different character. A kind of somewhat random character in Valk that we get in this. But I'm gonna go through some of the shit that I my issues with this, Jason. You can defend this if you'd want. First of all, Charles talks to Jean, takes Jean in 1975 after she causes an accident that kills her parents. Right? She has this thing with the radio. They're listening to this whole thing. This song she doesn't like. She kind of knocks her mom out, and which causes a car accident because she's the one driving. And there's that. And Charles shows up to let's see. This was 1975. So this is even before the events of X-Men Apocalypse. And he shows up to say, well, I got a school where, that's it. The father was giving her up. The father was petrified of her. And Charles shows up in a nice way and is like, I'm gonna, essentially adopt Jean Grey. He does, right? Like more or less.
Mm-hmm.
And does a thing in her mind, and just doesn't tell her, hey, your father, you kind of inadvertently killed your mother. Your father scared shitless of you and gave you up for adoption, wanted nothing to do with you. But she is enraged by this when she discovers it later on.
I mean, it's one of those. It's one of those things where, like, Charles, you should fucking know better to do this to someone, but also, like, why are you so like? I don't understand her anger in this movie, but
exactly.
It's the same problem I had with X3. I didn't understand her anger in that movie either, and clearly it's just the person writing it sucks as a fucking screenwriter, because this actress is good.
No,
there are strands here to show me her anger. I don't get why she's so mad.
No, I don't understand her motivation for being angry in this movie at all. And the Phoenix Force is angry for some reason that we don't really get an explanation of why the Phoenix Force is evil. Because maybe you didn't earn the Phoenix Force part of it to turn to Dark Phoenix. That goes unexplained.
I mean,
Um,
I will give this movie. There is a scene there. I did say there's a couple scenes I like in this movie. I did like the scene where the X-Men go into space in the Quinjet or whatever that's called, the X Factor, whatever the fuck that thing is called.
it's called the
When-
Blackbird,
and
but
they're
they call it
using
the
their-
X-Jet in this for somehow.
Okay, so yeah, I knew it. All right, Blackbird. I knew it was something that I wasn't in this movie, but I love how they're working together. I really enjoy that.
Okay.
I like the fact that this movie says, "Hey, I've read the comic book. You got to go to space to get the Phoenix." Sure, nothing after that makes sense, but at least she goes into space to get the Phoenix.
Well, Jason, I'm going to push back on this for one reason. You ready?
Okay.
You're and if and I think you're going to be on board with this because I don't think you're. Yeah, I know you're going to be on board with this. Yes, you're correct. You usually go in space, get the Phoenix Force. That's how it happens. One problem with that. She had the Phoenix in her in 1983 in Apocalypse because that's how they defeated Apocalypse in the previous film. So she had the Phoenix Force. 9 years later, she gets it again? What? The same writer wrote both movies and didn't see the end of the last movie that he wrote himself? Huh?
Yeah, well, how Jean got the Phoenix Force back. It's my favorite
Again.
90s movie.
Come on.
Yeah,
This is just
no, you're right.
pure
You're right. It's
fucking
stupid.
incompetence. It's incompetence.
No, it's
Jason, it's not like somebody else directed
agree.
or
No,
wrote the other. No, someone else did direct. Someone didn't write like a different writer. Did he? How lazy can you be? Like I had an issue in Apocalypse.
No,
Like
this-
Rick and I discussed Apocalypse last week. One of my issues with that movie is it felt like, and here we go. We got a segue to get into Apocalypse briefly now. One of my issues with it, and Jason, Rick and I described X-Men Apocalypse as it felt like it was trying to play the X-Men's greatest hits, but it was played by a cover band. And it's like, Phoenix, Apocalypse, this, like, that, and Quicksilver thing. Like they threw Arrow the shit at the wall and Impossible in Apocalypse.
All right.
Just
But you'll have to admit, it was a really good cover band.
I don't. The thing is this: I don't have any issues with the new cast per se, but it was another guy playing Scott, which had the same issues as the last one, where he basically gets absolutely nothing to do.
Yeah,
like
I get that.
Jean Grey is fine, but she's not anything in that movie until the end, where she has to randomly, inexplicably has the Phoenix in her. But they also tease the Phoenix earlier in the movie. As soon as the Phoenix shows up in her dreams and shows her in Apocalypse, the end of the world, and how Apocalypse is going to end it, which, by the way, apparently was wrong. Like, it's just, yeah. I mean, besides that part, I knew it.
You're right.
It already.
And it's so inconsistent. But I will tell you one thing Apocalypse has done that not even we here at GPT have done. And they have given you the origin story of a bald man and how he lost his hair. Sit around. Let me tell you the 3-hour version of how I lost my hair.
That was another thing I was pissed off about last week with Apocalypse.
It was stupid as shit. It's stupid as shit.
It is. And hey, listen, and Rick and I both agreed. Listen, one of the highlights of the film is seeing Olivia Munn in her Psylocke comics accurate outfit running around. And she was cool, but she wasn't given shit to do besides look the part.
She needed to be a character. She wasn't a character. That's the problem. I'm going to say this. I have the same problem with Apocalypse and Dark Phoenix. Same problem, except I like Apocalypse and I dislike Dark Phoenix. I'm going to explain why. Apocalypse, I think the character stuff that they give us for the X-Men that we have met before is good. I think Magneto's got some great stuff. There's some great Charles Magneto moments, which is always what I come here for. I like the new cast. I like the new Nightcrawler and the Scott. I think he actually gets a bit more to do in, like, he has a moment where he, like, you know, has to go to the bathroom. Like, he has a bit more to do. It's not great, but it's there. I like that stuff. The villain sucks. Apocalypse sucks.
Because he has no
just
purpose.
it.
It's just like, oh, I don't know why I'm doing this. I'm just doing it. And we also don't know what Apocalypse's endgame was.
Neither does he.
Besides
Because he didn't get that part of the script. But at least with Apocalypse, it's still like Oscar Isaac in a shitty Power Ranger outfit. But it's still Oscar Isaac being underused in that shitty Power Ranger outfit. Like, because Apocalypse looks like garbage and everything. Like, you're right. Why is he doing anything? Who knows? I don't know. They don't tell you. All of that sucks. But I think outside of that, there's enough for me of like this. The X-Men are working together. I actually do kind of like the second Quicksilver scene. And only because the reason I enjoyed it is because Quicksilver kind of walks up like, yeah, I'm just going to go check on what's going on here. And he walks into this like, oh, everyone's going to be destroyed. I'll make some popcorn and clean up. Like, I kind of like that was fun. There were fun moments in that, right? This movie, I feel is the same. I have the same problems with, but there's not enough fun moments.
No, there's no fun moments to be had in Dark Phoenix. I'm going to be honest whatsoever. And yes, I will. If we're comparing them like that, I did say last week, I enjoy the Quicksilver scene in Apocalypse. I do think it's completely unnecessary. It's one of the greatest hits.
Yeah, sure
like,
it is, but it's fun.
This is one of the greatest hits from the last movie. So you remember when Quicksilver did it last time?
Yep.
We're going to do it again. And guess what? In Dark Phoenix, you like those two Quicksilver scenes? Fuck you. You ain't getting another one because this movie's angry. This movie's dark.
No,
this movie's brooding. We're going to break his leg. And we're going to make sure. Am I wrong? That's exactly.
No,
we're going to break his leg instantly. He's going to be in 2 scenes. Fuck him.
Well, that was also, Evan Peters has actually gotten a career now. So we're going to break his legs. Fuck us. He doesn't want to be this shit anymore.
Yeah, it's just, it's wild. And, not to harp on too much on to bring it back to Dark Phoenix. My overall issue with this movie is it's more continuity and issues all over the place. It tries to be like a fake tough guy. Like, it wants to be this dark, brooding X-Men movie, but I can't. It's so bad I can't take it seriously, right? Like, some of the lines that I can prove, like I highlighted to back up this sentiment that I got from this was, number one, Mystique, right? Like, we knew Jennifer Gardner was way over this. She wanted to be out of it.
Yeah.
If you looked on our wallpaper when Rick was on it, her makeup she looks like Mystique cosplay because she's all blue and now she only has like the freckle thing on the top. Her makeup even looks half-assed. And she was probably like, all right, whatever. Do what you got to do to me just so I can get through the scenes and fucking kill me. End me and get me out of this fucking franchise. Oh, and they oblige very, very quickly. She's done in this movie quick. But she has this
in a scene.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
In a scene that reflects the way that Jean Grey kills fucking Professor X in X3. Like, that's the thing. It's like we're also, it's the greatest hits and the shittiest B-sides. Like, Apocalypse is the greatest hits.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Dark Phoenix is the shittiest B-sides.
I like that analogy. That's good. We have continuity from show to show, and you weren't even on last week's show.
I wasn't.
No, you're right. You're 100% correct. And the thing is, like, from Mystique here, they're trying to be fake tough. Number one, everyone hates Charles for no fucking reason in this movie. Everybody shits on him
None.
every chance they get, and it's undeserved. It's just as undeserved as the Jean Grey anger thing, because she's one of the people who shits on Charles when she makes him walk up the stairs and all of that. And it's like, for what?
Yeah.
Like, Mystique says, oh, after they complete their space mission and stuff, oh, well, you should reconsider the title, the name of this team, X-Men, because it's the women who are always saving the men around here. And I'm like, wait, at the end of the last movie, and I know that was a 9-year gap, and that's another ongoing issue with this version of the franchise, right? Fine. Let's just say a lot of things happened over the course of 9 years, but I just can't see their relationship souring again to that point.
I know.
Yeah, I just wasn't buying it.
And over that in particular, because the last thing, because again, I watched Apocalypse and this back to back within a day of each other.
Mhm.
The last thing we see of Apocalypse is her training the new recruits. Like, she is like, it's Charles and her.
Yes.
She's the second in fucking command. So
yeah, head of Beast.
When we get to this, of course, yes. And so we get to this, and she's like, I got this tennis, this tennis thing on because I don't want to put the blue over here, and yeah, fuck, I'm gonna smoke a cigarette because I'm technically on break, but go ahead, you could film me. I don't give a shit. Like, I don't understand why she's so angry and why it picks up like that, because she was in charge of the X-Men.
Yeah, and they remember at the end of Apocalypse, they got their really cool. They were kind of like X Factor suits, though, at the end of Apocalypse. Like, we see them in a danger room at the end of the last film. And 9 years later, they kind of have like another. I mean, they do look shitty. The X-Men suits in here, they just blue with a yellow X over it. I guess it was somewhat of a callback to First Class. And I know they at one point the X-Men did wear this in the comics, but they just don't look good on screen. And she's complaining to Charles, like, oh, we're going on missions and helping the government, and we got to wear these suits. You were just happy about it 9 years ago when you were training the fucking team.
Yeah.
Again, what happened? Why? And then once that whole thing happens and Jean has her thing, so the kids, we find out through Cyclops, the kids are nicknaming Jean Phoenix. Meanwhile, they don't know about the Phoenix Force.
Yeah, it makes no sense. It makes no sense.
It's dumb, and this is at like the random Dazzler teen student like hangout that they got going on, which I'm not complaining. Dazzler looked cool. I was happy to see her.
All right, I was gonna say we could shit on this movie all we want, but we're not shitting on Dazzler. I love Dazzler, and that Dazzler looked awesome.
Yeah, no, and I'm not complaining about that. I do feel like it comes completely out of left field, and I'm like, why is she in this movie? But it was cool to see her.
Why does this movie exist? It's cool to see some stuff. Phoenix.
We gotta get some Phoenix.
Yeah.
Raven.
I hate it so much.
By the way, Raven also believes that she even questions the name of the X-Men again when she's like, oh, she tells Beast, oh, well, then remember, Charles is an asshole. Like, he's all self-important. It's all about him. Look at the name of the team. X-Men for Xavier. It's also not for X-Gene. That's what it's called, the X-Gene? Did I
thought that was... I don't know. I mean...
Okay.
Yeah, you actually read the comic book.
Yeah, I never thought at any point in time that the X-Men were a vanity name for Charles Xavier.
No.
Okay. So we're on the same page. Cool. Jason, we understand what's going on here.
Yes.
So, yeah, when Jean finds out that her dad is alive and her rage goes over and she kills Raven and fights the whole team and breaks Quicksilver's leg and stuff like that. Like, and then just flies away aimlessly. Woo! That's it. She does that like 5 times.
It makes no sense. She does. It makes no sense except, like, okay, the people who have better careers who want out of their contracts, that's what I'm here for. Like, oh, Evan Peters, I'll break your leg and you're never seen again. Oh, Jennifer Hudson, you really hate this, huh? Let me throw you into something.
Yeah, and from what I understand, yeah, she definitely like was over this, and I also just don't know why. It's like, hey, the X-Men are a popular franchise. There, I'm sure you're getting paid pretty well. Like, you could have did something here. Yeah, and Jean, once she has the Phoenix power, just floats randomly. She finds Eric in the Savage Land, which I think is a bootleg Savage Land. Like, it's just this island that was given to them by the government that's just green everywhere with mutants.
Which that is something that could have been interesting if it was part of the plot. Like,
yes,
because again, the X-Men are always the other, right? If part of the plot of this was Magneto again is trying to go straight, and he's got this plot of land like the Native Americans, and he's got like a mutant reservation he's trying to cultivate, and shit happens, that would be interesting. But it's like none of that happens. It's like this land was given by the government. We're not here for you. We're here for her. I'm going to defend her. I'm going to come out and blow it. I'm leaving now. Like, what?
It's fucking stupid. By the way, we also
so stupid.
We get a scene where Volk over here catches up with Jean in a bar, but she's like she's fooling all the humans around that she's an older dude, I think it was, in the bar, but Volk can see right through and even says, well, you can control the minds of humans, but not me. Okay, fine. So if she can control the minds of humans, why is she running away from everybody, all the humans? Why doesn't she just mind control them and make them think she looks like somebody different? Her whole floating thing
I don't know. It's a good question.
is totally unnecessary.
That's a very good question.
Hard-hitting questions, Jason, but we're not going to stop with it.
Hard-hitting questions.
I
got a hard-hitting question. I got another hard-hitting question.
Oh, go ahead.
All right. You are a roguelike shapeshifter. Rogue, it takes her focus to keep her shape shifted, right? If you knock her out or she loses focus, she loses it, right?
Yeah.
Do you think how good do you think she is at keeping her shape during an orgasm? Like, if she is like put on a different shape to woo someone,
okay,
and the thrust of it.
We're talking about Mystique, or we're talking about Rogue?
How long do you think she is? Mystique.
That's a good question. I'm going to say that she turns back to regular form. That's what I'm going to say.
Like right away.
Yep, I think she does.
All right.
And maybe has to. That's my guess.
All right, that's a good guess. Now, Rogue, do you think if she touched someone while they were orgasming, she get double orgasm?
Does she get their feelings of the orgasm when she speaks to when she makes contact?
Yeah, like
with
if
them?
she touches them as it's happening, she grabs them. Because you got to assume if they're having sex, there's a roguelike condom on.
That was my first question, of course. I'm gonna say that she does. I think she does get that feeling.
All right.
Yeah, that's my guess.
Questions answered right here in Granny's. This is what you missed when I was on vacation. Admit it.
I did. Trust me, Rick asked them out of nowhere too. But Rick wouldn't stop it.
Yeah.
There's also more of nobody respecting Charles, because even when Eric meets up with them and Beast, after Mystique's death, randomly goes and teams up with Eric because they both want to kill Jean at this point, then they kind of all meet up at this random, it looks like Central Park West apartment that's there. Apparently that's where Volk has taken her. And then when Charles shows up with the X-Men and tries to talk to Eric, like, he even says, "Nobody cares, Charles. You always have a speech, and here it comes. But nobody cares." Like, just yelling at him again. It's like, why is everyone shitting on fucking Charles now? Like,
yeah.
And then the fake tough guy moment, that was one of them. And number two was Cyclops' response, yelling at Eric, saying, "If you touch her, I'll fucking kill you." He actually says, "I will fucking kill you." I laughed at that. I did. I laughed at it.
I did too, and it's funny because I listen to podcasts about movies, so I've picked up that PG-13 movies get or PG movies, whatever, get one F-bomb, right? Like you can drop one F-bomb in the whole
Yes.
movie. So for movies like this, I'm like, I always evaluate like, this is what you did with your F-bomb, and it's
Yes.
like this is what you did with your fuck. You said I will fucking kill you from the Boy Scout to the OG villain. No, you wasted your fuck.
If you had to use a fuck, if you had to give a fuck,
You
had to give a fuck.
Nicely done.
you could have flipped it around and had Eric say it and be like, Charles, nobody gives a fuck anymore. Boom, better writing.
Right.
If you had to. I'm going to be honest, I don't think
If you-
it just seems so out of left field for this movie that it was unnecessary. And I realize, yes, the X-Men franchise has R-rated films in it. I totally get that. But that's Deadpool, that's Logan.
Yeah.
It's different.
And that's fine because they're doing a thing. But I think if you're doing an X-Men movie and your specific thing isn't catering to adults, I don't need cursing in it. I mean, I don't know.
No,
I'm not that like straight edge. Like, no, I mean, I don't need an F-bomb and everything.
Yeah, it was weird. So yeah, then they have this battle there, and like again, that's what I mentioned. There's Jean has him walking up the stairs out of his wheelchair. I guess trying to say something about like show me a miracle or show me anything is possible. And she even crushes Eric's helmet that is now it looks different in every fucking movie that we've seen. Now it's all black and everything. It's just so big. And
he just keeps getting it repainted. What we don't see is like the Marvel one-off, right? Like we used to get in Phase 1.
Yes,
and it's like Eric gets his Magneto gets his helmet painted.
Like Bob Ross, I can picture him kind of painting it. Here's some nice middle class.
These are my happy little helmets.
Yes. Yeah, I don't know. Then they all locked up in a train thing, and they're there, and I guess it was a cutesy thing to put Mutant Control Unit. So it says MCU on their patches. That was a running thing at the time where they thought Fox they were trying to take like an inside jab, and which was dumb. And they go ahead and they're captured by this unit, and this is where the whole reshot finale happens. That's why we get this whole battle in a fucking train cart, because it was cheaper to do instead of doing other shit. So
okay,
we get that, and like there's like Magneto's killing people, and even Nightcrawler looks like he murders someone in this. It's really bizarre. And when Charles then convinces them with the other speech that Eric just said nobody cares about, he gives the speech anyway.
Nobody cares, Charles.
Everyone. But they do, Charles. They do, apparently.
Yeah.
About a half an hour later, they care. Because then he convinces everyone to protect Jean. Like, this isn't Jean's fault and yada, yada. So they're all protecting her against these aliens that want to come and take the power and stuff like that. Because apparently the Phoenix Force is a power that destroyed their planet and can create planets and galaxies. Nothing like the Phoenix Force that we're aware of. Totally different.
Yeah.
It's bizarre.
Yeah.
And then through a quick conversation,
and
Jean forgives him. Like that.
Yeah. And the fact that these aliens are like the Skrulls and were supposed to be the Skrulls makes it even worse. Because it's like, okay, even if they were the Skrulls, this wouldn't have been good. What the fuck do the Skrulls have to do with the X-Men or the Phoenix Force? Nothing. So it's like, even it's, we talk about like, I have defended movies on this show where I'm like, it could have been. Let me defend something on what it could have been, right? There's not even what this could have been. Best case scenario, the aliens were the Skrulls. And boy, this movie still sucks.
Yeah, that was not. Yeah, them making them Skrulls was not gonna save this movie at all. There's so many issues. And after the train sequence, Jean and Vogue square off, and she just obliterates them and takes her and flies her up into space. And she's, if you want the power, here it is, and kills her. And then the rest of the team is just like, all right, Jean just sacrificed herself. We're gonna rename the school the Jean Grey school, and Charles retires and goes off to Europe, and Beast is running the school now, and they play chess again. And Jean explains in a voiceover.
I did like that scene.
Whatever. That's fine. My point is, I just didn't see Charles retiring and handing the school off. Like, I kind of think he would have wanted to work harder to continue his mission, but kind of was like, "Nah, I'm done. I'm gonna go ahead, Beast. You handle it. I'm gonna go and see the countryside and see what happens here." I don't know. It was bizarre. Then we get this voiceover about how the X-Men are not done. This is a new beginning for the X-Men, and I've evolved. I'm not dead either. I've evolved beyond the Earth and stuff like that. Jason, it's like they thought they were getting another movie. I know you love that.
And it's like, where did you think you were going after this? Where did you think you were going? You were getting no other movie after this.
Yeah. It's like Willy Wonka. You lose. You get nothing.
Right. Because that's the thing. It's like Charles Xavier is going to go and he's going to be on his own for a while. But you know, Magneto's going to play chess with him. That's going to pay off later. And hey, don't forget, Evan Peters never told Magneto he's his father. That's going to pay off in one of these movies, right?
Nope. That never happened over the 9-year gap either, by the way. Because they wanted that was such a fun
keep
thing
going back to him.
Dragging it along.
It's like, hey, Evan Peters. I'm Quicksilver. I know, Evan Peters. Did you tell Magneto he's your father yet? That actor's not my father. Great. All right, roll. Like, they gave zero shits about that plot line. No one did.
So yeah, I will safely say, and this hasn't changed, out of the new X-Men since First Class. Since First Class, this is the worst of the X-Men proper movies. As much as I can't stand Apocalypse. Yeah, it's better than this shit. It is definitely better than this shit, without question. This is the worst of it. This is, man. So Jason, we can agree, right? Like, for the X-Men proper films, now that we've wrapped them up, this, The Last Stand, Origins Wolverine, the 3 worst, right?
Oh yeah, I don't think there's any question about that.
Which is the worst? This is the hard hitting question of the night. While we end on this note.
Oh man, this is
I think I stumped you.
All right. It's not Origins. It's not Origins because Origins has a really good Sabretooth.
Okay.
So it's a battle. Which is the worst Dark Phoenix story? Oh, God.
I'm kind of with you on this.
All right. I'm gonna maybe say X3 only because they had more talent in their stable and they wasted that talent terribly. And this movie also had talent in the stable, but they didn't have knighted talent. I mean, it's hard, man. Both of them suck.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you. As much as I can't stand the other two, it's between Dark Phoenix and The Last Stand, which is ironic that it's both of the mainly Phoenix movies written by the same guy.
Same guy. Yeah, it's not easy, is it?
No, this is tough. I might have to come back to this next week. I'm going to tell you the truth. Let's think about this over the week, and we'll revisit this and try to really take this down. Because we have shitty lines. We have
these movies.
You touch her and I'll fucking kill you, versus I'm the Juggernaut, bitch.
Right, and also like each of them destroys their own different character in a weird way.
Yep, Mystique gets fucked over so strangely in both movies.
Yeah, but in this one, she was asking for it. Literally, Jennifer Lawrence wanted out, not Jennifer Hudson. I said that to you before. Thank you for correcting me.
That's all right. All right, so we'll reconvene next week.
All right. Let's table
Fair
that
enough.
discussion.
We'll
And
table
actually,
it.
you know what? If you're listening, maybe we should do a Facebook
Yeah,
a vote.
we'll do a poll.
Let's
We'll do a
vote.
poll.
Yeah.
Which is the worst X-Men movie? And we'll see what happens. All right. Anything else on Dark Phoenix, or even any other random thoughts on Apocalypse you didn't get out before we wrap this thing up?
Again, Apocalypse is not good. This is terrible. The biggest difference is both villains suck. Apocalypse has a villain, this doesn't. That's it. That's all I'm going to say. I don't think Apocalypse is good, but I'd put it over a lot of the other shit we've watched. In general.
Oh, no.
Not X-Men shit.
Listen, Rick and I also agreed Apocalypse is a movie.
Yeah, right. It's a movie. We have to. Yeah.
Oh no, I never. It didn't cross my mind that it wasn't a movie. So we can start from there. We've had some that were not movies.
All right, No. I mean, Supergirl was not a movie. It was an experience. This is a
Jason,
movie,
by the
but
way, that's hilarious. That's the first movie that's the first thing that comes to your mind that you know I'm exactly referring to Supergirl. That's it. When we talk about shitty movies, Squirts. That's the first thing we think of.
I think that was the first time we said that this was not a movie. This was an experience. Like, I think that's where that came from. It's Supergirl.
Yes. Yeah, I'm pretty sure the origin of that was Supergirl, which tells you all you need to know. If we try to wonder what's the worst movie we've covered, I think we both kind of agree that it has to be Supergirl. Then
it's probably Supergirl. Yeah.
We've covered some bad shit,
and this is not Supergirl, but this is also is nothing in the MCU. Like all the people who like take their pants off and shit on Captain Marvel, which I actually do like that first one, with the DH. If we covered that, we did cover that, right?
No, we covered Captain Marvel, and the Marvels is significantly better than this. Even though I have my issues with the Marvels, it's way
much
better.
Much better, yeah. So anyone saying like, the Marvels is terrible, that's the worst, watch this. This is so much. This is garbage.
Yeah, I'm gonna say this isn't better than any MCU project. This is worse than all of it, because like Secret Invasion, as much as me and you hate that thing because of the ending, at least I can watch 5 episodes and be entertained. I can't say that about this.
True.
So
I would rather watch the Eternals again over this. So I think that's where I stand on this.
Easily, yeah. And me and you have both shared. I don't dislike the Eternals as much as you do. It's not like my favorite Marvel movie by any stretch of the imagination. Yeah. But again, I can see there isn't the level of incompetence that this movie has. And it's also not trying to be fake tough guy. And also, I think it acknowledges the existence of the MCU before it. Like, they saw the MCU movies before that.
Yes. This movie did not see any of the movies before it.
No.
Including Apocalypse, written by the same fucking guy.
Exactly. That's what gets me mad about this shit. But, all right. So that pretty much wraps it up for us this week. Enjoy the giant-sized issue here of Granny's Peach Tea, because we went over 2 hours for a bit, but like this has been one, but we had a lot to get into here. Thanks for joining us as always.
The audience missed me.
They did. We had to spend more time, Jason. We're just glad to have you back, my friend. We're glad to have you back. Thanks for joining us on the Facebook live stream. If you're checking us out there, check out Granny's Peach Tea's Facebook group, because we share a bunch of cool stuff on that group there as well. Trailers and other articles and stuff like that are a bunch of fun. Check us out. Check out Pop Culture Pros and popculturepros.com, because that's who we are presented by. We're on YouTube. Subscribe to Pop Culture Pros, and wherever you found your audio-only podcast, because I don't have to plug X anymore. So we will see you next week as we have some other interesting stuff. The X-Men movie of the week, before we get into Deadpool, we'll discuss off, and we'll share that next week, because we kind of a couple of different directions we can go in. The Boys is done, but we have the season finale of My Adventures with Superman, along with Kite Man, Hell Yeah, which actually dropped today on Max.
Hell yeah.
yeah, we didn't have all the shit. We could have got into that, but 2 episodes dropped there. And season 2 of Hit Monkey dropped on Hulu. They dropped the whole season. So
Ooh.
we'll give that a minute before
right.
we can get into that. So I'll see you guys next week.
I'm excited for that. I enjoyed that first
Me
season.
too. Me too.
Later.
I thought it was a lot of fun. So later, man. Touch